Hey, welcome back. How's it going? Yeah, my mic is up. Let me put that on. Welcome to round 4 of the OKORINA tournament, the first ever run by Sanjay. It's been an absolute treat. For those who don't know, the short of the long is basically you don't pick an identity. You either pick a unique connection or you pick an agenda, and you get the ability on that card on top of influence and deck size that Sanjay has set up. So far, we've had 28 players. It's been an absolute treat. We've seen a lot of diversity, a lot of things getting played, and it's been really cool to see cards that it's one thing to build something really good. It's another thing just to see cards that we haven't seen get play. Like, I've never seen anyone play, what's it called? Puppet Master, but it's in every game we've seen it. It's been an absolute treat to see, which has been great. Oh, we were pretty far behind. We were waiting in the lobby for nothing. Okay, this is a couple turns in. Oh man, we're turn 5. Look at this board state. Okay, let's catch up first. Okay, so Glen Station, they have something hosted on there. What is it? I don't know. It's probably government takeover. Let's check. It's a government takeover. They fast tracked. Okay, so we know this is going to be a slow agenda density. They have a Kayambe grid on the remote with MCA austerity policy. That's another cool way. We saw in these decks so much of what they wanted to do is Red Planet Couriers, border control, Red Planet Couriers, biotic labor stuff. And MCA austerity is another legitimate way to get to that board state while also having points to win the game. I don't know why we're so zoomed out on this one. Something is goofed up. Oh, that's fine. So that's where we are right now. As a restricted card, we're seeing Ngolo. This is human first, which so far is fired to give 1 credit to our Anarch over here. We have a mining accident that's gone through, so we have 2 bad publicity on Chrome's side. We have the threat from the Hippo. Hippo and Ngolo are a really cool combo together. We also see Drug Dealer. Anarch is struggling modernly with card draw. They don't have the most. That's like a lot of times why we see Hoshiko in the standard format. So Drug Dealer is going to help a lot and going to keep their money up. I don't think we've seen any punishment cards so far. We've seen very little, but we know Advanceable Ice, probably Mass Comms, probably Red Planet Couriers, probably Biotic Labor, and we know that there's only there's only 13 agendas within all these cards, and 1 card in hand is also pretty wild. I wonder how that happened.
Hey, what's up?
Yo, welcome back.
Catching up on this game. Looks like another. Oh, yeah, I'm excited that we're watching the Human First deck. And this is some like interesting combination of standard Anarch stuff and some interesting influence expenditures.
Yeah, the influence is really wild. You know what? Actually, in retrospect, there's a chance. It's like this Human First. It's one of those bad matchups where like if everything goes perfectly, and I'm gonna assume Chrome is gonna steal some agendas, but in theory, this is the worst matchup where Human First can only give you 1 credit, right? Like you score the hostile, and then you score out the government takeover from hand. Like it's just super unfortunate.
Yeah, you get those 6 credits way too late. I wonder if I'm sure sometimes these Glen Station decks have not had turn 1 fast track. I wonder how many government takeovers have been stolen today.
Oh yeah, that's true. The last deck we saw.
Oh, go ahead.
I said the last deck we saw was running 3 fast track, which is like a pretty big deal. I think they managed to get the government takeover out on turn 2 or turn 3 when they drew their fast track. But you're right, there's a chance you lose that on the mulligan or on R&D.
Yeah, I know some people are playing 3 fast track and 3 of
DRM.
Yeah. Which is very aggressive.
Yeah. For what it's worth, Hippo's actually a really strong counter to this sort of deck. We haven't seen too much Anarch, but one of the good ways to interact, and there's not many ways, mind you, to interact with Red Planet Couriers besides Operation Destruction, is to trash the ice itself. Like, I think this puts Nice in a really awkward spot where they don't have any interest to res the ice here on R&D, because as soon as they res the ice on R&D, it's weak to the Hippo and Golo. It looks like Chrome went in and paid the 2 credits extra cost of Kayambe grid, trashed the Kayambe grid, trashed the austerity policy, and spent a fair few credits doing that. But that's actually a really big deal. The Kayambe grids not only are defensive, but they do give you free advancements. And like that was a problem that we saw in Sokka's game plan, which was a bit of an issue, is that like this is turn 8, and I don't think that Captain has paid more than 6 credits for 2 Kayambes, and they have this many advancements on cards. So again, for the combo, for those who don't know, Biotic Labor gives you another click. There's a chance that they don't have Biotic Labor and they're just on austerity. I imagine they have a mix of them. Red Planet Couriers says move all advancements. It's a triple, mind you, so it takes your whole turn. And says move all advancements from any installed cards to a single card. So they pull the Glen Station off, they install on the remote, then they have to either double Biotic Labor or have it live there for a turn, and then move all those counters over. And you need 9 for that to be the 2 agenda win.
Yeah, some people in chat actually asking about the same question that I had to look up earlier for a judge question, which is if you blanked Glen Station, would that cause the government takeover to fall off? And it would not. It would if government Glen Station is pretty narrow. It just says it can host the card. So there's no way for this card to stop being a card. But if this card stopped being a card somehow, or somehow another card was hosted on Glen Station, then you would you would have to trash cards to make it legal. But if you blank Glen Station, it no longer has a hosting ability. You don't have to remove cards that are hosted to it.
Cool.
Yeah, you can see that sometimes when somebody has and it's actually kind of relevant because the card. I'm forgetting the name. The one that has Andromeda leaving.
Yeah, on the Lam.
On the Lam, yeah, on the Lam. You host it on a resource, and sometimes decks will play Apocalypse and on the Lam, and you might have on the Lam hosted because it's a counter now, and it's hosted on a face down card that is no longer a resource.
Cool.
Yeah, but I forgot all this, and I had to look it up earlier in the tournament because somebody was asking.
So Nice just clicking away, advancing their cards. The payoff here is the mass comms for 16, if I'm not mistaken. No, only 10, sorry. You see another card that's just unfortunate in the matchup. That's a turntable, and there's a chance that Nice is on. Maybe we'll see the Global Food Initiatives. Maybe they're only on 3-1s, but they're not actually getting pressure off. This turntable is probably not going to do too much. Maybe get a false lead out of the score area if Nice with the same route that Succa did. But right now, you want to get those accesses, and the biggest issue here is we see no multi-access whatsoever. So if I'm not mistaken, Nice has exactly everything they need. If they have, they have the money. If they have all the cards that they need, which would be Biotic, Red Planet Couriers, they could have closed the game that turn. MC Austerity might actually be what they're doing instead of Biotic Labor, and I think that seems a fair bit worse. It gives the opponent time to interact with it, which I don't know how they can punish that too well. Chrome just going here onto HQ. It's an Ice Wall, 2-strength Ice Wall. Ngolo can get through that for 3 credits, so only 1 credit with Bad Pub, and eventually that Amakua will get up to huge strength, and with Bad Publicity, that you can get through most everything. Actually trashing the HQIs. Wow. So it's good to get counters down. That's an SSL endorsement. Now, a lot of these agendas, I think, so Captain might just be on big 3-pointers and just playing as few agendas as possible to be able to score out. Stealing a Global Food Initiative as well. Wow, now you have to actually, in theory, worry about punitive plays. You did steal 6 points of agendas. A single punitive comes through. That is the game. And Nice always threatens things like mass comms into punitive for huge money. Chrome discarding down to maximum 4 hand size. Throwing out another card with Mystic Miami. Hitting an Archives interface. A really interesting include. Not very... I'm not sure why this is included, where there were certain parts of the meta they were scared of. MCA Austerity Policy. Clicking up again. This is the last turn. Chrome needs to trash this, or I think they'll have enough clicks next turn. Let's see how it works. So they click it once, they have 2 clicks. They click it again, so they gain 5 clicks. So then they can do install, pull, Red Planet Couriers. Yeah, so they need to trash this austerity this turn, or they lose, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because they can get 4 clicks to... No, they need... If they need a Biotic for it to... Because...
That's always hard. Okay, wait. So they have 3 clicks. They hit it once, so they have 2 clicks. Oh, right. And then they hit it once. I just put my middle finger up. No, I don't think I am. I think I might be off by 1.
Because they would start with 3. They'd trash MCA, gain a net of 3 clicks. So then they'd have 6 clicks, right? And then... yeah. And then they can click off... click.
No, they have 5 clicks, so they have to do pull, install. Yeah, I think they can do it.
Yeah.
They did trash it though. It's just a Hordem and a Musfingo. You can get through that pretty elegantly. A second Musfingo res on HQ. That gets a free advancement counter. That's pretty good when it comes to getting those counters on. Accessing the Red Planet Couriers from HQ. We do have the turning wheel counter down. And now this is a really big point because Chrome is on game point. Also, we did miss 2 fires from Human First. Global Food Initiative only getting 2 credits? Wait, how many credits do you get from Human First when you steal Global Food Initiative?
Great question. Scored game credits equal the agenda points on that agenda. So it should be 3. Let's see how many.
Yeah, let's see what the log said. SSL taking out, they did get, so far their ability has just given them 7 credits. That doesn't seem bad at all, especially when you spend money to get an agenda. It lets you bounce back that time. It looks like it's printed. That's what Plumbing is saying.
Is it errata to be printed? Because it usually is. Interesting.
So austerity policy, we have 2 in archives. If Nice is only on austerity policy, he's trying to play a game that's more with like interactive. Ooh, isolation, trashing that drug dealer.
Ooh,
got it enough value.
Cool tag.
So with only 3 cards left in the stack, like Chrome has drawn through pretty heavily. This is turn 14, and with the drug dealer ticking away, we've played multiple Deuces Wild and I've had worse. They've got through everything. So now the ability to gain 5 credits and dismiss your drug habit is a really, really good thing to do here. 17 credits with the 2 bad publicity. Running HQ again, 1 agenda to win the game. Has that turning wheel building up. Even the Hordem, you could consider to bounce off of it. Nice also now spending real good money to get all this stuff res. 4 credits left. Not threatening out the combo next turn whatsoever. Getting through this relatively cheaply. I think Angolo deals with Hordem pretty good. 4 credits to get through. And that's it. SSL. Wow.
Whoa. That's some great aggression.
Like, yeah, that's super good aggression. And you saw the difference, right, between like the Biotic Labor and the MC Austerity. MC Austerity gives them a chance to interact with it. And sure, this also does give you a window to score at 5 threes, but like if that was a Biotic Labor, I think Captain would have won that a while ago. They had all the cards. They had the Red Planet in hand. They had like 2 Biotics worth of cards. Maybe this gives them more influence.
Do you want to see the other side? The artist?
Yeah, I want to see what the artist looks like.
Yeah.
So actually that one that you joined might not be it. I think you want to join the one on because that one's been there for a while. I think it's broken.
I gotcha. Thanks for the heads up.
All right. So transfer monopoly cast theory. I wonder if it matters which identity you pick. I guess you always pick Titan for transfer monopoly just so you have 17 influence. So the artist is it 1 link as well? I think it's like Kate, right?
Yeah, it's like Kate.
But it's a 50 card deck.
Yes.
That's a sizable drawback.
It is. Yeah, that's true.
So that's really important for decks that want to, like, you do have self-modifying code and shaper, so the ability to pull cards out of your deck obviously it's a bit easier. But the artist has some really strong abilities, especially on turn 1. It gives you that pseudo Kate ability. If you're not aware of Kate, it was the original shaper identity with 1 link as well. And she said the first time a turn you installed a hardware or program, you reduce the cost by 1. Now the difference with the artist is you have to spend a click to install that card, which means that this won't trigger off cards like self-modifying code, simulchip, which makes it a lot less flexible. Although if you're installing cards from hand, you still get that exact same value. You also have the ability to click for 2 though, which Kate didn't have, and it's obviously pretty good. A lot of people click for 1 a turn sometimes if you have a spare click left over, and money is going to be important, so it's not the worst thing to do whatsoever. Proco coming down, that'll give you the card draw. Let's see if they can use the artist ability. Installing the Rozeki for 1, not too bad. So it looks like a lot of their turns will be draw, install. Maybe they won't even have time to get that built-in magnum opus on the artist.
Yeah, I think one of the things with the artist is that is tricky in evaluating the card is that when you have the artist installed, it feels good. You have a lot of good. It gives you 2 things that you're happy to do. It costs a card slot and 4 credits to
is a lot.
Doing it usually, which is a lot. It's a big hit, and so it's interesting to see how well it does here, where it has a lot when you don't have to pay the 4 credits in the card slot to do it, and you can build around having it. How that impacts how good the artist is, and this seems like a nice start for Captain Nice.
Yeah.
Proco and 2 Rozekis.
And Beth, yeah. Grim Sleeper saying in chat, Shaper achieved. I don't think you can ask for a better start than this. Your MU now can hold a single self-modifying code, but you have that click compression for draw. You get that extra money with Beth and you have double Rozeki. This is amazing as a start. Now, I don't know what's going on here with Chrome. That they installed something in server 1 last turn, didn't res it, didn't fire it, nothing. And they're repeating that again with server 2. I have no idea what this could be. We have a no one home to deal with some net damage and or tags. It's an SSL endorsement. What the heck is going on here? Do you just click for credits? Yeah, they're going to artist and then click up for credits to be safe against the punitive Counter-Strike. No one home again. It does tags. It does net damage. I don't know what's going on, what Chrome is doing. Their ability so far, we haven't seen anything that matters. Maybe they were hoping that they wouldn't run and they could like double shipment from 10 in and out. It seems a bit ambitious. Technically a possibility, but we'll see what they can do. Only 12 credits. Again, artist has a link, which makes punitive a bit worse. And they're just doing credit IPO. So Beth is going to give you 5 clicks a turn, exactly what you want when you have Proco, get you more value. And that 5th click could a lot of times just be that artist click that you struggle to get in there. What's server 1? Simulchip coming down for free with the artist clicking for 2, throwing a Claw into the bin. That's such a strong play here. If there is some fast advance with cards like Shipment from 10 and Biotic Labor, there's not a lot of matchups. I think only the Shaper matchups that you really have to be worried about fast advance. And with Simulchip trashing a Rozeki, they can get a Claw down even at no money, which is incredibly strong. This is really good.
Have you seen any tech out of the Transport Monopoly decks besides the Shipment from Tenon? I'm struggling a little bit to think of like what else you would want to do with Transport Monopoly. I
don't think there's anything in this format that actually cares about unsuccessful runs besides the fact that you can stop Maker's Eyes and Apocalypses and good stuff like that. Film Critic coming down, by the way, is a restricted card. That's pretty meaningful. But yeah, besides Shipment from Tenon, I don't think anything matters. Like Off the Grid is not in this format. Obviously, you can't play Earth Station, anything like that. So I don't know. It might just be like, I don't want to get diversioned. Like that might be good enough, but I think Shipment from 10 is the only thing that directly impacts. I guess in theory also like Daily Quest, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that's cool.
But they still gain 2 credits when they access it, right? Wait, no, Daily Quest doesn't really care. Daily Quest doesn't care at all. You just trash it anyways. It just stops you from not gaining 3 if they don't trash it. Super Corridor coming down. That's 3 credits with Artist's ability. I don't think this credit lineup is going to matter too much, but extra hand size is pretty good when you spend most of your turn pro-coing. It also gives you that defense against double punitive. It's hard to double punitive someone with 6 cards in hand.
Yeah. Oh, I just thought of a card that Transport Monopoly could play. It's I forget the name of it, but it's an upgrade that Wayland has. It's sort of defensive. You res it and put some counters on it, and every time there's a successful run, you take a counter off.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah, and also Embolus. Embolus will care as well.
Oh yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. What's it called? Reduced service, I think it's the card.
Yes. Nice.
Klakat's saying, hey, just joined the show. Can't the runner give themselves 1 link playing this ID? Yeah, do we want to tell Captain Nice to give themselves 1 link?
Yeah, we probably should.
Do you want to do that in chat?
Yeah.
So running into the remote, that's a boarding control. They are getting through that with a boomerang. Resing Mark Yale. Something interesting is going to happen here. They're just using Mark Yale for value?
Oh, sweet. I think there's better IDs for this.
What? Yeah, isn't there the one that you get 3 counters, the barrier one?
Yeah, I mean, it's 1 more counter, yeah.
Oh my god. So they used the Mark Yale counter to make this an unsuccessful run, and they gained a credit at the same time. So they didn't Mark Yale the counter, they just used the counter anyways.
Okay.
What's happening here?
Why?
Running the Mark Yale, getting trashed for 3 again. We're pretty similar for credits. Captain Nice could click Artist and click 1 just to get the Super Corridor to fire. I hope Super Corridor fires. Please. Oh, they can't anymore.
I mean, I absolutely love seeing Mark Yale in a deck list, so I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. He used to actually be played in Titan Fast Events decks right at the same time of Order and Chaos came out, but that deck got optimized a lot with a larger card pool for sure.
Yeah, I know in chat a lot of people are throwing out some absolutely messed up IDs like Valley Grid, for instance. Yeah. And one of the things when I was trying to figure out what a good... So the way I got to connections is thematically. Like unique connections are people and you play as a person, as a runner. It was a lot harder to think of something thematically appropriate for corps. Probably mostly assets are the things that represent companies more than anything. I think Lakshmi Smart Fabrics is a company, but most assets and upgrades are balanced around the fact that you can go trash them. And I think agendas are the closest thing to cards that are designed like, hey, you might just have this ability, and you might not, and the runner and your opponent might not be able to turn it off. And so that's how we got there. There's a lot of busted agendas too. Government takeover is not okay to have it as an ID ability. But yeah, I think there's even more disgusting things when you have assets or upgrades as your identity.
It's wild. I think so many people forget that there's a text on government takeover.
Yeah, it's really good text.
Yeah, it's pretty good text. Pretty good text. But like a lot of times you score it, you win.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me to get a read on this game right now. Like they jammed behind a roto turret, which is a bit of a surprise. That kind of means that they're more of a rushy deck to hit with the roto turret. A simul chip was popped, so there's no longer the threat of simul chip. There's no way to pull that into the deck. But we have all three breakers here: Oiler, Corroder, Nanotech, and a card in their mode as well. There was an Atlas in the counter with advancement on it, so it seems like there is going to be fast advance combo to this. Chrome on 14, nice on 14 as well. A lot of their money went into these install costs. Accessing an arc lockdown from HQ.
Ooh.
Wow. So even if you want to deal with that what's it called? That clot, you have a way to deal with it. It also is pretty good against Oiler recursion and stuff like that. Running R&D here, Marcus Batty into Tithonium.
Woo!
Wow, that's pretty rough. So this can trash not only a resource, trashing the program here is the best, right? Because the trash program fires and then it snowballs into 2 more trash programs because there's no way for them to break this. That's really scary up front.
Yeah, especially with that simul chip gone.
Oh, it's firing. Chrome ping 2, nice ping 1. So that's going to be a nanotech trashed. Why did they? Corroder trash. Sorry, it's a barrier, of course, which is going to trash probably the nanotech and probably trash, I don't know, the Proco or the film critic. I don't know what they're more worried about. Likely the turning wheel, actually.
Yeah.
So Oiler's going down. Nanotech's going down, leaving them with the money, and they get to trash 1 resource and end the run. So nice having that beautiful Shaper board state absolutely being reset in terms of the ways that they can interact with the corp. Still has all that economy, all that sort of built-in Shaper value. And Chrome, though, only has 3 credits, might be able to sneak out an Alice with a token on it in server 3, which would put them onto the board. Trojan Horse from HQ. This is a weird deck. This is a lockout deck. This is a program destruction deck. I imagine we're going to see Arc Lockdown here for Corroder.
Oh, I'm surprised we don't.
Server 3 actually might be like SDS drone deployment, but like Nice needs to get a simul chip down stat before they lose their ability to recur a program. I've no doubt they have extra copies of Oiler. Corroder as an influence is probably a one of. Even maybe the nanotech might be a one of. I wouldn't be surprised if they have an admin or another way to deal with things, but like you really need recursion now as opposed to like throwing out here 4 cards after a multi-draw. Border control, firing on the face check, resing for 3, getting the credit back. Wow, what's happening here? Nice has to discard 4 cards from the hand, throwing out a second film critic, a Takobi, 2 Cyberdelias. Why no lockdown? Maybe they really...
I guess if you think that they are likely to have a second barrier...
I don't think they do ever, do they? Like, who splashes 2 barriers in Shaper?
Yeah, I'm surprised we don't see Atlas advance more than once there.
Yeah, server 3 must be something really good. Like this either has to be Rashida, SMC, that might get into another program, another breaker. I don't think they're on double clot. Discarding a super corridor and a professional contacts. Not a Rashida. I don't know what this is. Server 4 install. Could be shipment from Tenon, but they don't have enough advancements. It costs money to shipment from Tenon, right? What is this? And they click for credit. I don't know what's going on anymore. What is this?
Yeah, shipment from Tenon is $2. I guess, this can't be an AgSec because...
Harmony AR Therapy, the Arc Lockdown getting punished. And that's a huge hit. 1 of 5 different cards. That's very targeted. Nanotech goes back in. Corridor goes back in. Probably Clot goes back in because it's better to keep in the deck with self-modifying code when you're playing around Arc Lockdown. Wow, that's a huge hit here. And you could see Nice knew what they needed. They were just panic drawing, just mass drawing through their deck for that. So they basically can pick 5 cards. I'm pretty sure JNet will show us what they're highlighting. So apparently not. There was Boomerang, Corroder, Euler, Nanotech, Simulchip. So all the good stuff that they need to be able to get the maxes. And Chrome down a 1. Yeah, probably an NGO front. I think you're right, Jessica. It's just strange. What's in server 3? Like, are they jamming an agenda here? Is this an STS drone deployment? For what it's worth, also running the NGO doesn't count as a successful run because the server did disappear, which might be a good way to get shipment from tenons off if that's really part of your game plan. We haven't seen any of this deck so far. Advanced credit looks like a drone deployment or an SSL. Third Rizeki. Sorry?
So they do need two different types of breakers right now to get through, though. Because they don't have Aomakua.
They haven't shown it, but they do have Boomerang, at least 1.
Yeah, so this server is not mega secure, but 2 and the run nice with different subtypes is.
Ooh, Hushik on 2s. How many 2s? Let's play the counting game. Corroder coming down. That's 2. Rizeki 2. Rizeki 2. Rizeki 2. Beth 2. I think this is 5 2s.
Now this might be the time to use Transport Monopoly. No, okay.
Why didn't they use Transport Monopoly? Yeah, I
don't know what their plan was for it, because I mean they might have. I think one thing that's kind of unfortunate, we didn't really get to see their game plan, like what the plan for the Transport Monopolies was. But
oh man, so like think about that. If they ended up locking down the Corroder, I think R&D was like largely locked out. They might have needed another ice to deal with Boomerang.
Yeah.
I feel like Chrome could have pulled out of that for sure. Like, obviously, you can transport Monopoly so the Hushik isn't considered successful, so you don't see 5. They would have access to Trebuchet off the top of the deck. But I feel like, I don't know why they kept the lockdown. That was strange.
Yeah, interesting tech. I'll have to talk to Chrome later.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happened, because obviously we don't see their hands, so we don't know exactly what's going on. We said we'd jump into Oscillate's game, but I don't think that exists anymore. Is there anybody specifically with an interesting
is Osclate done?
Sorry?
Oh, Osclate's done? Cool.
I don't know. I can't find.
She's there. She's
she's there. I missed it. Excuse me.
Yeah, she's playing Divested Trust. Oh, and Cybertrooper. Oh, it looks like.
Oh, okay. This is a good one. It just started. Perfect. We'll get this. All right. So, Cybertrooper Talut, Oscillate mulligan, Volitar also mulligan. So we're going to get 2 mulligans. Going to stream us? You bet. Best of luck. Have fun. Oh, technically, if they don't want to be streamed, like give them that option. Yeah. You think that's okay?
I can say that.
Yeah. Obviously, if they don't want to be streamed, we're not going to stream them.
All right, I guess they're okay with it.
All right, so we have Divested Trust. This is interesting because it's not like you're going to forfeit your identity, but basically this is just a 1 of per turn. Imagine it's a power counter. Yeah, 1 per game, excuse me. Obviously not per turn. Yeah. So this basically, I think, screams either punitive Counter-Strike or like something mean with STS drone deployment. That's the way I see it. Cool. On the other side, we're having 47 cards in the Cybertrooper Talut. So Cybertrooper Talut starts with a link, and the first time whenever you install a non-AI icebreaker, it gets +2. Oh my god, Cortex Lock, what is this? Cortex Lock doing 4 net damage. This makes sense for a punitive deck. You can no longer access, you can die to snare, but absolutely surprising. Like, this is the point in the game where like a brainstorm could have been res. Like, you just have no idea what's going on here.
I gotta say, Laura Osclate is the person I play with the most. She is one of the 2 people who taught me how to play Netrunner.
Oh, no way!
And I am shocked to see this Cortex Lock. That is a wild include. I did not expect that in a million years. Amazing.
Two influence. Trashing a too big to fail for 4 credits. Maybe you just want to get your revenge right there. But we got some good trashes here. I think we expected to see Gauss, Paulyg, Stimhack. Like, these are all not surprising cards. I think we're going to see a lot of Gauss and Euler in this deck because of Cybertrooper Talut. I think the other thing that we could have considered seeing is like Paperclip, MK Ultra, Black Orchestra, other very good cards of Cybertrooper Talut. And I'm surprised to see Mad Dash in this list. A lot of times these breakers work really well. Mind you, it's important to know Mad Dash is a restricted card. But a lot of times this Breaker Suite works really well with Aesop's Pawn Shop. I think that's where my guess would have been. So I want to see what they do with Mad Dash. That means they need to see some sort of expose for this to get a lot of value. card in server 2. Again, Divested Trust, going to stop you from stealing a 5/3, gaining 5 credits back as well. And the cool thing about Divested Trust as an identity is like you're not putting yourself back on board state. Like that's kind of the issue. Is like when you're playing 5/3s and 3/1s, like you need to score the 3/1 to be able to win as well. Obviously, you know, undivested trusting can stop you from losing, but I think it's just a lot better suited as an identity.
Yeah, and it's very clumsy when you're playing a bunch of 5/3s and you lose your divested trust, but you really needed that 1 point.
Yeah, exactly. Rashida firing off CityWorks project. Let's see if we can dedicate that. Dedication ceremony. There you go. You want to go access this? That's maybe at least 5 damage. You want to go steal it? You're going to have to do that twice while giving them 5 credits. So this screams... Oh, even more, 6 damage. This screams punitive Counter-Strike. Oscillate onto Too Big to Fail. Also a very good card with punitive Counter-Strike. You do your first punitive, you heavily invest in it, then you're Too Big to Fail, then you punitive again. And now that we know they're on Mad Dash, Volitar cannot be on Film Critic. So the only way for them to deal with CityWorks Project is that new Nisei card that looks like Film Critic but isn't, or Imp. And I don't know if we're going to see either of those in this deck. What's the influence on Talut? Are we at 15?
Talut, yeah, Talut's...
45-15.
Talut has a link, and I mean, well, they natively have a link, but they have a link and have 15 influence. And I made them digital. That wasn't power level thing. That just is thematically, but
yeah, cool. So digital a lot of times does mean like you know, you can definitely sneak in that DreamNet. DreamNet is pretty good for what it's worth in punitive deck, so lets you draw back up, get that free card draw and credit, both 2 things you want after accessing a card. But Volitar started very slow. It's stalling cards that aren't particularly good on board state, not very tempo heavy cards, getting just down to Plunky with no support and Kamatsu throwing one out. So Oscillate's on game point here, and that's a really scary point to be, because now they can just jam out the next 5/3. If you steal it, it's not the end of the world. They can get it back and try it again. So Volitar has a lot to do, and unfortunately they've shown no economy whatsoever to this point.
Yeah, I think a funny thing here is that oftentimes a tough play to do, or a tough play to learn to do, but is a very good play in Netrunner, is just use your agendas. Even if you don't have a scoring window, you put them in the scoring in the server and make the runner run through it, spend a bunch of resources. They get that agenda, but then you put in the next one and you get that.
Build a scoring window.
The ID lets you do that with the same agenda. You run them through the irons to get this agenda, but then he's like, yeah, I'm going to use that agenda again. Very neat.
Yeah.
Compile
coming in. Yo, for what's worth, do you know if anyone in the tournament is playing that NBN one that says you get a tag whenever you play a run event or install a program?
One person is, yeah.
Nice.
Who is it? Better Citizen program, right?
Yeah. Compile coming in. It says make a run. The first ICU encounter, you can install a program from your deck. Very good value when it comes to Cybertrooper Talut, because the program you'll be installing comes in at low cost. And with 1 breaker and the paulyg, you can get through this. Question is whether it's enough money. We'll figure out quite soon. But let alone if you do access a 5/3 agenda here, which this doesn't look exactly like it is, whether or not you will be dead to a punitive Counter-Strike, let alone 2 punitive Counter-Strikes.
And a very rude thing about the way Divested Trust is worded is that you do still steal the agenda.
Yeah.
Which is good if it's the winning agenda. But it is bad for every other purpose for the runner.
So not resing the outermost, might want to res the innermost just to force them to spend some money to get that access. But if this is just a Rashida, that might just go for the bad publicity and you waste a compile. It looks like that's the case. We're going to get single access here. Could even be a 5/3, right? Like, there's also the important thing about 5/3s is if 5/3s have an additional cost, it's Rashida. But if any agenda has an additional cost to steal it, you can refuse to pay that additional cost. I don't think there's that many in the Wayland card pool outside of SDS drone deployment. It's important to know that cards like, like CityWorks Project, it's not an additional cost to steal. It's just on access. And hey, looks like it's digital rights management. Install. Wow, into archive memories into dedication ceremony. Volitar has 4 clicks to disarm this, either to get Oscillate down to 1 credit, or to somehow steal this and not be scared of the incoming punitive Counter-Strike.
And you can go get this. It's going to cost you 5 cards, and you don't even get the points.
No, yeah, that's such a mean ability, and like also this is going really well, and like a big problem right now, or not problem, it's just kind of the matchup is like we're not playing with criminal where there isn't pressure on other remotes. Like a lot of times you have to watch out for the diversion, but here Oscillate knows that going into this with 6 credits, there's probably not a lot of tricks that's going to happen. They also know they can be very confident after seeing the Mad Dash getting trashed, the Cortex Lock damage, don't have to play around Film Critic, which is a really big deal. And so we're going here with the compile. I think there's no way that this goes worse for Volitar. There's no way this goes well for them. Because at the end of the day, you can let them have this and then just reinstall it next turn. Oh, but border control means you just win. Yeah, that's a good game.
Ooh, so nice.
Yeah, that's a really good start for them. Like they had everything they needed exactly. Like double Rashidas, DRM, archive memories, even for dedication. Like that's good stuff.
Actually, an interesting thing is if they happen to specifically is compile ignoring all costs.
Yeah, I think so.
If they specifically have the card Amina, and I'm sure they don't, they would actually be able to stop them from winning.
No, they wouldn't because they can just do credit advance.
Oh, you're right.
But also they could end the run before they break it.
Oh, good point.
All right. Oscillate pulls it out, jams it. This is turn 7. That's good old Whale and Rush. Let's go. Divested Trust right, getting you there.
Okay. Yeah, just a nice little, like, don't need more credits than that.
Yeah. All right, good game. How much time we got in the round, Sanjay? We got more time?
Oh, decent amount, actually. 26 minutes.
Fantastic. That means more games of some OKORINA. This is Soka versus Rust Rider. We've seen a fair bit of Soka. I imagine we're going to see more, so we'll try and go somewhere else if we can first.
You want to see? Have we seen Imp?
Yeah, we did. We saw Imp earlier, but we probably will end up here. Aruzan. Do you know what Aruzan is on? Aruzan, it seems like they're on Theophilus, right?
I think no. I don't think they are. Actually, is there?
Someone plugged Aruzan's name. Maybe it's because they were Canadian.
I think they are on.
Oh wait, Cephalopod is a really fun deck. This is a good one. They're on PuppetMaster and they're on like full traps. That was the one that we saw when they were playing against Adam.
Yeah, let's watch it some more.
Awesome. So Aruzan getting that 8 credit console down. I don't think they credit kiting it out. They actually just paid the cost full up, so now they can bypass some ice. I don't think Cephalopod has really strong ice. Besides, I don't know if we saw border control. We saw a lot of pop-up windows. We saw slot machines. They did manage to score out that early and remastered. And PuppetMaster is so wild. Every time you access something, just gets advanced. And we saw Cephalopod play and just put Bolognas on the table and say like, "What are you gonna do?" Hard-hitting news. Access from HQ, but Aruzan up 16 credits to Link. It's a bit hard to land. But again, if this is a Bologna, you can score it out. It's a Vanity. You can score it out with the remastered edition.
Yeah, and the ability of these decks to also pop up in credits with their back channels is very funny. I really... I'm
This is buck wild.
Ooh.
Do you know what? Like, this deck must have falsified credentials. It does. It already played one. Like, the chance of this happening... Oh, okay. Diversion of funds. That's going to slow down a bit of the fun Cephalopod is having. But still, Server 3 is going to get advanced counters on it, whether you like it or not. And with only 1 credit, it still has that Junebug threat. Like, the bad pop-up window, is going to give them the 1 credit they need to fire on Axis. Oh, it's what's it called still around? What's the one that, unfortunately, Dinosaurus gets wrecked on? That, like, advanceable trap.
Oh, yeah, that is still legal.
That's still legal, right? If someone ends up... Shattered Remains. If someone Shattered Remains a security nexus, I'll absolutely lose my mind. It's a Beal. Right. It's a Beal. They almost had it there.
PuppetMaster's optional. I wonder if they should have just let it ride.
That's true, because as soon as you say it's an advanceable card, yeah. Well, no, if it's not an advanceable card, you just run it, right? Like, what are you scared of? Snare?
True. Yeah, what are they going to do?
Yeah, that could have worked. This is Wild, Career Fair, Daily Cast, just criminal stuff, just setting up. Again, not a lot of a board state to interact with, and Cephalopod doesn't have much to do besides click for credits. Bhagat, Amakua coming down. I don't know if you need the Bhagat, but it's nice to have just for security. Icing up all centrals. I don't think that's going to work out well for Cephalopod because they generally put things in remotes without icing up anyways. Yeah, PuppetMaster can advance snares, what Captain's saying. Yeah, it has to be a card that you can advance. So the fact that you choose or choose not to is a really big deal. Here we go.
Another one of these perfectly timed diversion of funds just when they're starting to climb back up.
Yo, hear me out. Do you security nexus the pop-up window so the corp doesn't get a credit? I think you do.
Yeah, that's great.
They just went through it, got the DreamNet diversion of funds. Amakua doesn't get a counter because you didn't actually access any cards. You replaced your access step. But now you're in a pretty good spot with Amina coming down too. You can basically pay 2 to cancel pop-up window. Once a turn at least.
Well, I guess you're getting an access.
Yeah. And you get DreamNet back once a turn. It's not that bad. There's also a lot of traps, right? Like getting your accesses early, on central servers is really good against a deck that's running a lot of like, June bugs and ghost branches.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another hard-hitting news, probably the same one we've seen before, not a real threat with 1 credit to Cephalopod's name.
Yeah, one of the things Aruzan I'm sure has in mind is that they're probably feeling not comfortable, but a little happy that they've gotten that 1 Beal because the moment Cephalopod Wizard has a Beal in hand and 2 credits, they can fast advance out the last Beal. But they only have 1 agenda probably in their whole deck that they can do that with, which is
I didn't realize that was the winning Beal on the table.
Yeah.
It's a Rashida that gets trashed. And at this point, like Cephalopod's in a pretty comfortable place. Well, anything they install in the remote, like run it, fine. Oh, embezzle. If they hit operation here, I think it's actually fine. Like I don't think those hard-hitting newses do much.
No.
Let's see what they call here. Breaking for 2. Causing that pop-up window just to be a bit of a attacks embezzle. Probably calling operation. Hitting psychographics and hard-hitting news, gain 8.
Whoa.
So admittedly, those cards don't matter too much when they're not that playable, but Aruzan made big bank off of that, 7 credits. That's huge. Now the psychographics is, I think, their punishment to be attached to what's it called, Ghost Branch, which is really scary. But at this point, I think like Cephalopod is 2 diversions in. They can basically just install advance anything or install anything that they draw, right? And like if it's a June bug, it just gets some value. That's enough.
Yeah, and if they install advance a Ghost Branch, that's 3 tags. Unless they run a click 1, they probably end the turn tag. Though I guess with the tough thing about them, I don't think hard-hitting news is ever happening. The tough thing about them losing psychographics means that if they manage to sneak Ghost Branch out, they're never going to be able to keep. Yeah, they're not going to be able to punish them if they come get the Ghost Branch.
They must have another psychographic somewhere, and like the thing is that even if you keep 2 tags, it opens up so many windows where you can actually score out a blown up from hand with a Psycho and the remastered edition. And here you go, install advance. 1 credit is enough to access to hit the June bug. But 1 credit also means, I guess Ghost Branch doesn't require anything. It's important to know that all the traps require a different amount of money. Oh, they just had the Beal. That was it. They had the Beal. They found the Beal. So they scored the Beal out from hand or remastered edition. They had exactly the amount of credits. It wasn't install advance. It was install advance remastered. And Cephalopod just pulls it off. My God, how brave they are. Just jamming. They had like 2 agendas on the table, maybe 3 agendas on the table. Hacker says anticlimactic, maybe, but that was exactly the 1 card they needed. And they played the early game so well. That was super cool.
Yeah, and I think maybe Aruzan should have grabbed some more accesses off of R&D just to try and keep that Beal, because they were
going for HQ more than anything, and I think R&D is again, there's so many trashables in this deck, you'll just see more cards.
Yeah, and you can be finished at any point with that remastered and the Beal.
How you feel about table 5? Rob is playing some pseudo CTM, and Redino is on a Shaper.
Yeah, let's see it.
Cool. So we've seen in the early part of this tournament, we've seen a couple AR enhanced security. It's important to know that it has 7. Ooh, it's actually a close game. It only has 7 influence. We're going to have to zoom out a wee bit. It looks like we have a lot of things running here. 2 team sponsorships. They have the AR enhanced security. But Redino is fully tagged. This is probably the point of the game where, you go tag me and then you hope it doesn't lose you the game. It's important to know whether there is tag punishment in this deck. I think all they have is psychographics and market forces. I don't think they have the influence anymore to run boom or any sort of other meat damage. And we're getting some accesses here. We're going to be able to see single card. There's also a misdirection on the table, so there can be some ways to clear some tags, but that single access doesn't get through. Rob only on 5 agenda points, no money to their name, and Redino's running here. There's a chance that the slot machine fires and puts 3 advances on whatever's in server 4, but it looks like it's good. Getting a single access, it's a preemptive action. Rodino, 7 tags, 1 click. Psychographics in the bin in the early game, probably thrown out, and probably doing okay. This is going to be a tense game. Going back, Event Hardware Hardware, found the Remastered Edition, pulled it off. Whoa. I wonder if they knew that was in there or whether they thought they were going to lose in server 4. It looks like this deck has Quantum Kitty, so maybe behind Data Raven is pretty difficult. But like you see so many times in these CTM games, at some point you just go tag me and try to close it off. And it looks like last turn they got hard-hitting news, and that just gave them that the sort of spurs that they needed to be able to close the game out of. Yeah, straight out tag hell to the win. That's exactly what you want to be doing after they throw the book at you. Yeah, that must have been an exciting game. We just got the tail of that.
Yeah, I'm a little confused how you ever got Ares to be that broke.
It looks like they're trashing things. Like there's a Maryland in the bin. It looks like all the temples got trashed, and I think this deck only runs Pad Campaign, Temple, Rashida, and if I said Maryland twice, because they can't play Commercial Bankers Group anymore.
Yeah.
Like I think the credits are limited. Also, like which they spent a lot of money on this server. This is like 4 + 6 + 2. Like that's a 12 credit server. This is like a 12 credit server. Like there's a lot of money going into it, and they probably had to boost into the. Well, maybe we can check if they boost into the hard hitting news trays. No, they didn't. But like it's wild. If you don't have the temples, it's like that's a lot of money. It's 2 credits a turn. Okay. Saka is on table 1. I was not surprised. That game is still going on. I think you want to jump into table 9. We have Longfox versus Zombie, who's on HB. I'd be interested to see that.
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna just not be talking for a little bit. I'm gonna be entering these results that people have.
I'll be here.
Cool.
All right, so Longfox we've seen earlier today. They're on Beth. It's fine. Beth is good. I think Beth only has 12 influence, I think Beth has 12 influence, which is a bit of a setback. But we have Voting Machine Initiative. Here we can zoom in a bit on this one, I think. And Voting Machine Initiative is an interesting card. It fits into those sort of cards I wouldn't play probably, but get you some extra value. So basically, when you fire this, the runner loses a click on their turn. And you can't fire all 3 of them on the same turn. Basically, pick 3 turns for the runner to lose a click. That actually can be very important. And this is a big reason why hard-hitting news, as long as they don't have misdirection, which unfortunately the Shaper matchup usually does, you can ensure that they can't remove all of the tags. And so it looks like we have an HB Economic Warfare into hard-hitting news deck. Misdirection does get past a lot of that. 5 clicks is really bad for my WinCon. Oh, and it looks like Beth on top of that. Oh man, the Beth exactly on 15 credits. You just needed to boost 1 more click into the hard-hitting news trace, and they would have been down to 14, which would rob them a click. But it looks like they were able to get the misdirection out. So stream turns out having 5 clicks with Beth is a good thing when you want to kill them. Hello again. Oh man, that's wild. They also have a false lead. Yeah, nice art on that agenda. So that's a false lead. And that also combos with this win condition. The question is, what is their punishment? Whether they're just doing hard-hitting news into boom. I'm imagining Voting Machine Initiative is just a standard 45-15. Maybe it's even higher than that. Yeah, 45-15 subsidiary. So there is a lot spent on that trace, I imagine. So there's still a lot of work here to be done. Hard-hitting news, they actually didn't boost, but now the game is like kind of afoot. Like Longfox knows what's up and they can respect the tags. They also did end their turn with the tag, so you can start trashing things, and trashing Film Critic is a good start. You unfortunately can't trash Beth because Beth is now an identity. Trashing Artist, like all of these things are fine to trash, but I think losing to R&D interface is the thing you might be more scared of, or being locked out, because a lot of these times these decks that run these like punishment conditions as their win condition don't have the strongest way to win the game based off scoring agendas. So now Zombie might have to pivot to that, but more importantly, pivot to that at the same time while threatening a second hard-hitting news into VMI. Voting Machine Initiative is also kind of cute when it comes to things like Fairchild 3. You can prevent people from clicking through it. It also gives you a bit more legs with MCA austerity policy. It gives you also a bit more legs when it comes to border control or anything that attacks out clicks, which is good. Nice says 45-15 seems right. I think Sanjay did very well with the balancing. It can't have been easy in this first one with a lot of data on rebalancing. I totally agree with you. I think so far things look really great.
Oh, just tuning in. Yeah, thank you, Captain Nice. I think there's definitely ones where I missed. Like I'm even like after the last day. Like actually, there's some ideas there where the first day after I said, okay, I'm not changing them because I want people to be able to build, and I don't want them to be punished for finding nutso stuff. I saw like 2 different things where it was like, oh, that should not be allowed to happen.
So talking about austerity, that got up now. So Zombie could make the runner have a 2-click turn as long as they keep under 15 for Beth. I think Longfox was the player that did the 12 strength admin, if I'm not mistaken. I think so.
Yeah.
So let's see if that comes out again. We didn't see any admin support, like we didn't see any ice carver or data suck or anything. So this is just kind of like their pocket where they figure out what's like high strength for them and deal with it. So they can deal with like, Fairchild 3s pretty consistently. Zombie installing on server 4. MC austerity taking along. So next turn, or I think the turn after, if this austerity is left, a 5-3 can be scored from hand. Austerity is also really good at scoring false leads out, and there's no threat to pull Clot from the deck right now. Needs more Victoria Jenkins? Oh man, yeah, that's true. I like that card a lot. That's a fun.
Yeah, have we seen load testing yet?
We've seen no load testing, but I don't think they need to, right? Because their ability is basically load testing.
Yeah.
It's hard with slots. You need really good draw to get all those in. Maybe you have to do like some, what's it called? Oh man, I forgot the name already. Fully operational stuff. Peace in Our Time comes out. It means Long is not going to be running this turn and Zombie gets some money back. That's actually really bad for Zombie, who is probably planning to have their turn to be under 15 credits to ensure that Beth is not going to get that extra click a turn. Again, Peace in Our Time, very strong against, or the combination with Beth's deck where you just want to give them as many clicks as you can. Phantom, how's it going? Corey, by the way, yo, welcome over to Twitch. We're still going. Walter, what's up? That was such a good game to watch. Good game. Yeah, they did push you out pretty quickly. That's unfortunate. That Cortex lock was pretty strong. 11 minutes left in the round. That might be a bigger issue for some of our Glen Station players, but Zombie here just needs to get at least something on the table. Again, when games come to time, whenever time is called, the active player finishes their turn, their opponent gets one final turn, and it cares about agenda points scored. So getting the Zombie on the table at least will mean Longfox can't just sit back, which is important. And it looks like the austerity policy is going to be Zombie's quickest route to get to there. Server 4, no res, no fire. Icing up HQ a bit again. R&D, the Zombie's feeling pretty confident about that, considering that a single ice is going to keep out that R&D interface, especially with the admin on the table. Oh, Volitar says, yeah, that too. I meant the SADS versus Longfox, though. The Surveyor 14 install was awesome. That was a really exciting game. That was a really, really cool game. Long drawing up, Beth giving them a click, so they're still on 4 clicks with the minus the 1 from austerity policy. Again, Zombie has to use their VMI, their voting machine initiative, at the beginning of the turn. That's a Rashida Now in archives that Zombie had in server 4, not trashing it. And Long is just setting up for that long fight. Cyberdelia getting put in for 1 credit. At another Rozeki coming down, wants to get that money up to be able to contest the remote. Again, if the money is strong, Zombie is going to struggle. At the end of the day, like, you just have to get, a lot of times, you just have to get that hard-hitting news off. Even if it doesn't stick, you can remove enough clicks, but it's so hard with misdirection. So I think Zombie needs to pivot to score out, and score out, I think, is what they'll do here. Austerity policy, giving them now, they still have 5 clicks left. Install a card in server 3. Not have to worry about the cloth threat. Nothing on the table so far. Install advance, probably twice more. Let's see what they score here. It can't be another voting machine initiative, just an SSL. All right, 9 more credits is good. They're also on the table, so Longfox has about 10 more minutes to at least find another agenda, hopefully another 3-pointer. And they should be in a good spot. Are Glen Station players stashing government takeover and doing RPC shenanigans? Yes, that's exactly what we've seen. We've seen different routes. We've seen MC austerity policy. We've seen biotic labor. The biotic labor deck we've seen is actually very inventive and is playing a very smart version of the deck, running also like false lead and border controls to like figure out ways to save clicks. I'm actually a fan of watching it, as you know, as annoying as it must be to play against.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think everyone but the runner probably enjoys it.
Yeah, right? Jessica says, I quite like the sound of putting boom on the Glen Station so it can't get trashed. You can always pull it off and trash it, spend it for 4. That's a good point. That's definitely cool. There's a lot of reasons why you could play it as a value deck, to be like, oh, I drew into too big to fail, I'll hide that, or, you know, you can hide a lot of things, I suppose. Or like you hide a Trojan horse so they never see it. Like, there's fun stuff to do. SSL endorsement clicking away. Zombie up at 16, pushing something to a remote server. 2 clicks left, could be a double advance to push another 5-3, but like, I don't know how you score anything behind 2 pieces of ice against a Shaper with a Sentry Killer and a Admin and what it looks like infinite money. Also, all the buy road ice. Oh, it's an austerity. Install an HQ. Austerity for 1. And that's a really cool install. Like, right, that's the fork here with austerity policy. On one side, it's cool to protect austerity policy because it's a good card. On the second side, austerity policy requires you to have an agenda in hand to get value from it at that point. So second ice on HQ also makes sense. This also drops zombie below 15, robbing zombie longfox, from one of their extra clicks a turn with the Beth ability. Also, zombie might want to be under 10 credits just to ensure that they don't have to pay, like they do here, 5 credits as a gatekeeper with the Hernando Cortez. Gatekeeper is big. I doubt you want the Atman 6 here, so this might actually just fire, which is pretty okay for zombie. It'll return to 0 strength, and it looks like Long is letting that fire go on. And this is really important that this ends to run here because R&D interface and turning wheel are online. So it looks like we're going to draw 3 and then return up to 3 agendas back into R&D if you like. And I wonder if they're safer actually in HQ at this point.
And certainly letting them draw 3 makes the MCA austerity threat a lot more potent.
Yeah. The thing is, like, I don't think zombie's playing any 3-2s or 4-2s. So like that austerity is going to be something that'll be on the table for a couple turns now. Yeah. I wonder if they're biotic or anything. I don't think so. So like Long can just like, build turning wheel counters and maybe for 1 credit a piece off Gatekeeper if they get a breaker and then run HQ.
Yeah, and I think, and regardless of what this other ice is besides the drafter, they can get in here.
Long shuffles back, zombie shuffles back 2 cards, SSL Endorsement and Ikoa Project. I think showing Ikoa Project is also really important because now the runner knows to play around it. But we're getting a Stimac on this remote, so we'll see what this ice is. Now, like, look at these credit differentials. Like, I know this 9 credits is coming in from Stimac, but we're at like 20 credits to 5. Second Gatekeeper, you don't Atman 6 this. You just let this fire again, right? Like, you let it fire once, but unfortunately that will end the run.
Yeah, you could Atman 0 this. Just install your Atman while you have the Stimhack credits. So I guess with Pauly, it's not as important to use your Stimhack bucks.
Yeah.
This would be a surprising Atman 6. Okay.
It is an Atman 6. You might as well, right? Like, Stimac credits, whatever. I don't think there's any other 6-strength ice in the game. This also lets them, though, run back to R&D. No, actually, they don't have a click left. Imagine they did Atman 6 first, but I guess they didn't Stimhack it the first time. They trashed a Rozeki. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, though their Mew is showing correct, so it's...
Yeah, they didn't need to do that.
Yeah, interesting.
Drafter, they get 3 for 2 with nanotech. That's exactly the right ice, and they're trashing that austerity policy. Piece in our time gets hit by the Stimac brain damage. They're on 4 hand size. Hand size shouldn't matter too much. The meat damage they're looking to do is probably boom, so that'll get them through 5 or 6 regardless, let alone 4.
Oh, that's a good point, especially when you have out of faction tag punishment, the boom is a lot more attractive. And with Archive Memories, the downside on boom is a lot less.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest issue is like influence. Like, if I'm not mistaken, high profile targets 4 or 5, and I think boom is like 3.
Yeah.
All right, something else in server 3 easily could be Rashida. If it was austerity, you probably want to get value from it. It's kind of hard to tell what this is. Dirty Laundry hitting up that archives. Again, the admin at 6 now, not going to interact with anything pretty well. It's important to know admin can only interact with the strength with an ice if its strength exactly matches. It's not like strength or lower like every other program in the game. Rashida getting fired for 3. 4 cards, 3 credits. Now the credit differential still long, up at 24, 18 for zombie. I still don't know why they trust Rozeki. I think they did goof up the MU. Because they could have had another credit a turn, which would be obviously massively important.
Yeah.
They can just reinstall the Simulchip? Yeah, they can definitely reinstall it if they need to. But it doesn't mean that they should have done it. Now I think Longfox just wants to figure out a way to get through R&D, because at this point Zombie either has the agendas in hand and they either go into the remote, which is not safe, or he gets locked at R&D, which is also not safe. As long as Long makes sure that they can't get hard-hitting news, I don't know what Zombie's out is. I feel like Zombie's outs are based basically on the fact that you don't have enough clicks to remove the tags and surprise. And I think both of those have kind of gone out the window with this unfortunate matchup of Beth and the fact that they've seen what they're up to. That's all advanced events here. I think if this is an AKOA project, there's a chance Long could goof it up. Haven't seen a restricted card so far, so they actually could be on Film Critic.
And they will need a click or two to put something down that can break Gatekeeper, so maybe they can,
yeah, and they also did use the voting machine initiative, so they only have 2 clicks to do it. That's actually a really good point here. I think the 5-3 goes through. Like, if this is an AKOA, they need to install a program and run, and even if they do that, they can't get in here.
Yeah. Yeah, so if this is and there's 9 cards still in the stack, so so they did find their decoder, but yeah, AKOA goes through here.
Yeah, they're still going to take a chance here. It could obviously be a false lead or an SSL.
Yeah, those zombies reaction in chat, unless it's a ruse, suggests that this is not an AKOA project.
Looks like not. So they found the Oiler. They're going in. Oiler breaks subroutines for free the turn it's installed, so the Gatekeeper is just a minor inconvenience. In fact, not at all. In fact, gets a credit from Cyberdelia.
Nice.
Drafter for 2. Let's see what this is here.
1 second, I have a play.
It is an AKOA. Zombie throws the winky face at the chat. Hell yeah. Nailed it. All right, so that AKOA is going to be scored out, going to take up Zombie's next turn. And unfortunately, now that play, like, it had a really short life span, because now we have the breakers not only for server 3 but also for our R&D. So if Zombie has a way to biotic labor out a 3-1, I don't know if they can. It looks like most of their fast events might be tied up in the austerity policy package. Oh, there is actually load testing in this deck. Wait a fucking second. Oh shit. So the 2 load testings are in the bin. Another R&D interface is coming down, which is going to be a huge issue. But there's a small chance that if you install a 3-1, you can do voting machine initiative load testing. And then how many clicks would they have? Probably still enough. No, it's not going to work, is it? Yeah, they have 1 click. That's not good. Yeah, totally rused for sure. Running through Gatekeeper, get through that for 1 credit with the Cyberdelia refund. I have no doubt this R&D interface is coming down for peanuts. And then Zombie is basically that point in the game where you don't ice up R&D enough against Shaper and you get locked out. Now, the only outs out of this are digital rights management, which, you know, still server 3 doesn't look particularly compelling. I think if they have a border control in server 3, there's a chance with VMI that they can get out. They also use the voting machine initiative this turn for some reason. I'm not sure why. Maybe they have the win in hand with biotic labor. Why didn't they steal it? Netrunner Nuts asks. AKOA project as an additional cost to steal, you need to pay 2 credits and clicks, so they just didn't have the clicks to do it. Admin 6 getting thrown into the bin. Their MU seems a bit goofed up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, their MU is over. Do you want to judge call this?
Actually, we just had.
Oh, they fixed it. They fixed it. It's time?
Oh, yeah. Would you mind typing time in the round in that?
Yeah, I got it. So basically now Zombie gets 1 turn here. And then Long has 1 turn, and Zombie has this on time. I think it's one of the best things they got going for them. Unfortunately, they used the voting machine initiative, so they basically finished their turn. They're obviously not going to be scoring out this turn. They started with an ice on R&D, and then Longfox gets 1 turn, and they need to steal a lot of agenda points just to get up to this. Like, they need to steal 2 agendas. So I feel like Zombie has this. You can basically, at this point, if you have nothing in HQ, just invest everything into R&D ice, and Long can still deal with a lot of this. Clicking for 2 credits is not up to Beth standards, which is good. But basically, Long has 4 clicks here to be able to score 2 agendas, which seems pretty difficult.
Yeah, especially with 2 of the agendas in somewhere being AKOA project, which is a great thing to find, but if it slows you down. So I don't think Longfox can actually win on top. Well, of course, they can.
They could skill 2 SSLs. They could. If I don't win this turn, I'll concede. Sorry about playing slow. Well, they got to figure it out. It's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's over anyways. Without the explanation, that sounds really rude, right? Oh, it's over anyways. You've already lost. They have a chance here. There's also 4 cards in archives. I don't think it's that likely there's an agenda in there, but in theory, you can always go check that last click if you're like really bummed out. I guess it doesn't play around AKOA. Yeah, cool. You're already over. Yeah, so long can take their time here. They have the stress of being on camera trying to figure out this last puzzle. Agenda density is like, there's not a lot of agendas left here. Like, well, sorry, no, there's not a lot of cards left here. Oh, they conceded? Why? No, they could have won that. Why would they concede? Well, that's a bummer. Like,
that's fine, but okay.
Like, you might as well just check archives at a minimum. Okay, you can just run though. When your opponent gives you the chance to win the game, they're like, you could just try and win. Oh, I want them to run. It'd be so much more exciting.
Yeah, I think maybe they just didn't understand the...
Yeah, maybe. Oh, yeah, no, they got a whole turn. They misread it. Okay, thank God. Okay, that's cool. No, they have 4 clicks to try and figure this out. All right. Yeah, that's a good way to start it. Going in. Again, you need those extra clicks to steal Liquaz.
Oh, and zombies, I didn't think we'd have to use this command today.
I didn't know that was a command. That's wild.
Yeah.
Carmen just summoned 6 points on top of R&D. It might just... that's a Hagen. Its abilities are going to be relevant. Corroder's going to get through that. Not... Actually, it's always a surprise how much Corroder costs more than Paperclip when you end up breaking things like this for 4. I guess they could let one of the subroutines fire and lose the Rizeki and save a credit. I think that's the right play. Because they're going to get their Cyberdelia value on the next dice anyways. Yeah, Trash Rizeki, good stuff. They're in the Gatekeeper. That's 2 credits to break 2. They have enough money. I think they can run any server as much as they want. Maybe not HQ, actually. Cyberdelia getting a credit. They can access 2 cards. They have a turning wheel. They didn't use their turning wheel. They used their turning wheel? They didn't use their turning wheel. They didn't see. They saw 4 cards and missed. Wow, they had way more access than I thought. Sorry, 3 cards and missed. They can still see 2 in HQ if they want. They can also bounce off the Hagen all they want to get more turning wheel tokens. I think you still have to respect Hagen. Respect Aqua projects. So running last click and seeing a lot with turning wheel might be bad. I think they might have wanted to just do bounce, bounce, bounce. I guess they could have trashed cards, but they want to bounce a couple times. They can always check archives. Again, HQ has a chance, but now it's so narrow because they still need to steal 2 agendas. Bounce Hagen 3 HQ? Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. It's really hard. You need a multi-access HQ to have a chance to win. Bounce HQ, run archives. Stim hack? Going on HQ. Seems good. You can see 2 cards here. That's the 3rd and final Hagen. Seems okay. You need to hit SSL if you're not running with 2 clicks. Yeah, that's the issue. It's like you need to hit SSL. So you want to do that earlier. And then you can run archives and hope there's an SSL in there. I think the archives is like your last ditch effort. I don't know. Maybe like you throw out an Iqua more than you throw out anything else. Because there's no real reason for the Shaper to run archives. Drafter, you get through that for 2. Hagen for 2. I don't think Zombies money matters. So they'll rest everything they can. They can't use their money any other way. It's not like they have future perfects.
Yeah, it's one of the weird things about these last turns. I don't think anybody's money really matters.
Yeah, just the runners. We get 2 accesses if they want to use turning wheel counters. They can also like bounce and go again. But again, you have to play around Iqua, I'm pretty sure. They access an Iqua. Oh, they're on the right path. Oh, they access another Iqua. Ah, they did it. They did it.
Whoa.
What? Zombie. They're like, well, we're rooting for you. You can win this. Oh my God! What a wow! When your best cheerleader is your opponent, that's good shit. That's so good. Oh man, super respect. That's awesome. They had all of it in hand, so the archives didn't make sense, but they did it perfectly. Like, you know how we were talking about like multiple bounces? They went in and accessed, but they need exactly like 2 clicks to access that. So that was the best. And they hit exactly both of them. Zombie gets swept. Long Fox. That's more points for Shaper. Always good to see. Oh man.
All right. All right, last round. Pairings are going up.
Ooh, last round. All right. Are the standings up? Have they been updated?
I just updated them. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, let's see where we're standing. So, Chad, if you're just tuning in, welcome to the OKORINA tournament. We've been live since 1 o'clock this afternoon.
Thank you for your endurance, Andre.
Oh, no, it's always a pleasure. My voice is going to fall out soon, but we'll make it through this. Sokka, if I'm not mistaken, what's the math here? 4 times 3, 4 times 2 times 3 is 8 times 3 is 24. They're totally undefeated?
Oof, wow.
Christ. Now, actually, the class acts are slipping a wee bit, but still 5 class acts in the top 8. These are the lists to look at, and it's like a bit more, like there's things in here that wouldn't expected. Rob sneaking out of the bottom, representing New York with the AR enhanced security. We've seen that. Advanced Concept Hopper. Oh, I didn't know Longfox was on Advanced Concept Hopper. That's huge. That's a wild combination with Beth. We have an ADT and a class act rebranding team. I think that's the one that people are probably the most upset with playing against it. Paulyg on Tracers and class act. We see Chrome on Human First Transport, and then we got 2 Glen stations at the top, and I think the Glen stations seem really strong. It's absolutely wild. And we look just below that, we see wild things like CTC, just a 9 points. It's just strength of schedule. It's extended strength of schedule that's pushing Cortez out of the cut with, or not the cut, just the arbitrary top 8 that I've made. And then we see Cybertrooper and Bhagat just below that. So again, top 4 get a really cool piece of prize support where they can choose what cards will be added to this format, and there's some additional choices being made onto that, and it's going to be a brutal cut. Like, look how many people are just like, just strength of schedule away, of course. We're up. We got 1 more hour to this at least. Let's see what we're looking at. Sucka undefeated, Brick and Chrome. I'm a bit scared to watch the ad one, but I think we need to.
Well, theoretically, it might not last very long.
Yeah, right? Actually, Longfox Paulyg could be cool too. What's Paulyg on again? Class Act Tracers.
About, CTZ groenkaaf. Though I guess that's class act versus.
It's like class act versus CTM, right?
Okay, yeah. I feel like the opposite side of that because CTZ. I want to see what Jack Sinclair's doing.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, but yeah, Cortez is opening with not Jack.
Yeah.
So I think it's either Brick or Chrome or exactly the Paulyg long. No cut today? No, there's no cut. Concept Hopper is a neat idea. Yo, Diatrek, how's it going? I love Concept Hopper because it's an agenda that's only very good if you score it as soon as possible, and there's nothing better than scoring it on turn 1. So, yeah, let's I want to see let's see some acid spam because that's usually pretty quick, right?
Yeah, where are you hopping in?
Brick and Chrome.
Nice.
Oh, actually, no, Brick is playing Runner. What's Runner's Brick's Runner? Brick is on Class Act and Chrome is on Transfer Monopoly. So actually, I think we're going to pivot and we'll do Paulyg versus Longfox. I think that's the matchup.
All right, and I think I can actually start timing the round.
I think Utopia Fragment is banned. No, the fragments rotated. They could be added to the format, but the thing is whoever adds them also has to choose what faction they'll join into. Like, because currently you can't play a neutral identity or just a neutral identity. So we'll see. Yeah, they have rotated. Brick, please. Yeah, we'll get to that on the other side, I think. But I want to see Advanced Concept Hopper. I'm really excited about that. There's some really cool things you can do with Advanced Concept Hopper. Draw 1 card. Works really well with Daily Business Show. It works really well with Jinja. I think Jinja, there's some really strong reasons why you want to start with that. And of course, we're just playing good old Class Act, which we've seen a lot. At this point, all the Class Acts, it's hard for me to remember which players are playing the tag versions and which one are playing just like good stuff, Ngolo stuff. So we'll see. This is Advanced Concept Hopper, an agenda that came out, and then like a pack after that, I think Corporate Sales Team came out of it. So this had like a very short run in the competitive ETF decks before it was like immediately replaced. Really still fun in like draft formats or things with a limited card pool. And it has some really cool interactions. Again, Daily Business Show is cute, Jinja is cute. Anything that likes drawing is really good.
Yeah, it's also very weird with Jinja because you run a server, you can draw a card and then put an ice on that server.
Yes, yeah.
Which is rude.
Interesting. Nunarea is asking, I think Man Up is banned to hell and back. What's Man Up? Mandatory upgrades? Oh, yeah, mandatory upgrades rotated, and I don't think it would ever show up.
Mandatory upgrades probably would have been banned had it been legal. But I thankfully did not have to make that decision. Though if somebody who's in the top 4 wants Man Up back, then we'll have to have a chat.
Can you do something like say that any agendas cannot be scored on the turn they're installed? Does that make mana playable?
I think there's errata you could do that would make it playable. I don't know if I'd rather not do a bunch of like
that's fine
errata for it.
So, this is exactly what I thought it could be. This is just an acid spam deck, and then anytime they run, you just draw a card, which again is very good if they're playing Daily Business Show. But it's basically like if you interact with me, I'll get more assets to spam, which is going to be pretty wild.
That's really adorable.
They're opening up with Paragon and Dirty Laundry and Double Gamble, which is actually a really good start. Class Act usually has pretty good starts here. We're getting a Tranquility Home Grid Res and a Jeeves, so it looks like it should be triple credit installed in the Tranquility Home Grid server. Tranquility Home Grid is interesting because it's really good. It kind of seems a bit like a Still Moon abstractly, at least when I tried this in acid spam decks, but it's particularly good with cards that can replace themselves or have a short life. Cards like, I don't know, Calibration Testing or Advanced Assembly Lines. On its own, like, I don't know. I guess if they're icing it up, it's a bit better. So install. On the install in the Tranquility Home Grid, one of the new Nisei cards, they're going to opt to gain 2 credits. If they do another install, Jeeves Model Biroids will fire to give them an additional click a turn. Additional click a turn also might mean that they're on 4-2 agendas, which are a lot easier to score out. Looks like they're playing red level clearance, which doesn't interrupt Jeeves exactly. Oh, I guess it does because they didn't get their click back. So not a Jeeves turn. I'm not sure why they rezzed it. Unless I missed it. No, it wasn't a Jeeves turn. Inside Job. Ooh, that's some good aggression here because a 4-2 could be scored out here that could snowball the game. I'm not sure what. Successful field test, maybe. Always at the beginning of the turn, you get an interesting choice between the credit and the card draw. Opting for the card draw. Inside Job going to access after the Paragon trigger. And it's a Cyberdeck Sandbox. So that makes a lot of sense with Jeeves. So that's huge. That's scored. They can purge plus do something else with Jeeves a turn, which is a basis for a pretty strong economy. paulyg trying to figure out whether they trash a Tranquility. They're opting for it, trading 4 credits for what might be way more money in the long term from Longfox. And Longfox is back in a pretty awkward place. But again, anytime, it kind of feels like sports metal to some extent. Anytime you interact, they'll get value. And that kind of discourages you to interact. There's a lot of HP identities that do that. Architects of Tomorrow, I think, is a big one. Sports Metal sort of does it as well. Pad Tab also coming down. And Daily Cast, those will both be pretty good. Or, I mean, the Pad Tab will be pretty good against what you assume to be some sort of drip economy in the stack. I'd assume Maryland campaign probably makes an appearance. Installed in Server 1, Ice Up HQ. Actually, not getting treaded by a diversion of funds at any point in the early game is huge for Long. I think that's probably the worst case scenario for them. You could divert and then push the agenda, the remote. It might have been worse than than actually Inside Job. And the triple install gives them the Jeeves click back. They click for that credit.
Yeah, one thing that I enjoy when you are playing deck with a lot of assets is that you have some counterplay against diversion of funds that most decks don't.
Yes.
And because you can say, oh, actually my money is offshored on these assets that will give me money later. Hasn't come up so far, but it's going to be interesting to see if it comes up later.
It's a big reason not to res the Jeeves for that reason. Here we see a very unfortunate interaction. Advanced Concept Hopper not opting for the draw, opting for a credit, which obviously gives the Pad Tap a credit. We got Maryland and we got Rashida firing off. We also do see the Advanced Assembly Lines. Again, a card that's really good with team sponsorship recursion, let alone that Tranquility Home Grid recursion. But now the money is good for paulyg. paulyg has the ability to interact with the board, probably just looking for an Amakua, but with double Daily Cast, Pad Tap, and Rizeki, that might be enough money for the next 3 or 4 turns, even trashing some stuff pretty aggressively. But Long, 7 cards in hand, looking probably for that triple Jeeves install. Might want to ice up R&D, but needs to get something going. Maybe a triple install trash Pad Tap.
Yeah, I think in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, I got to trash that Pad Tap as soon as possible. Though in terms of Jeeves, you probably want to wait until you get your Jeeves trigger first, because you cannot trash.
Yeah, not immediately.
Yeah, you can't do the same action trashing Pad Tap 3 times.
So jamming behind a single piece of ice, a lot of this you're putting the runner at, do they have an inside job? Do they have a boomerang? Even do they have a diversion sometimes? And that's so much harder to do against Class Act because they have that filter draw here. With 1 click left, they basically need that inside job, that spearfishing, but instead Beth is coming down. It looks like we're going to be scoring something out here. Team sponsorship firing, I think, would be the best case scenario. This could even be a 5-3 with Jeeves. You can do that click, advance, get another. Tech startup firing, I imagine we're going to go sponsor a sports team right here.
Ooh, that's incredible.
Maryland giving the pad tap money. Oh, they just rezzed the tech startup? What?
Huh.
What's happening? It's an SSL. Wow. Well, that pad tap getting even more value, but long is on the table. I don't know why they just rezzed the tech startup and not used it. I imagine they would have popped that for a team sponsorship just to reinstall Rashida into the remote. That seems pretty good.
Yeah. I wonder if they realized that the card that they wanted to search for is in hand or something like that.
I think they might have missed the window.
Yeah.
Like I think they rezzed it too late because they rezzed it. Oh, maybe not actually.
That's too bad because I would think, given the level of tournaments this is, that if they had missed the window, they should just say, "Hey, I missed the window. Let me go do this." Yeah. I mean, that's up to them how they handle that, but certainly, ooh, Vacheron.
So some pretty good single accesses, or that's one of the first. That's like the second access, I think. Server 5 checking out what it is, getting the Paragon Fire. It's just another Jeeves, which makes it harder to trash the Jeeves. Tech startup now being trashed for Mamba Temple. Not too much value off that Mamba Temple right away. Nothing really to res. But now that Vacheron in 3 turns will be worth 3 worth 3 agenda points. So the window is going to be ticking down. That Pat Tap still just ticking away. Double daily cast for Zeki. I think paulyg has enough money. They could just spend their whole turn trashing everything if they really cared for and still not be in the worst spot. Longfox's money is probably tied up into these cards. Like even just trashing the Maryland will do a lot of work. Red level clearance, a very interesting card. Lets you do some cool shenanigans with fast events when it comes to things like work crew and I don't know, MC austerity, kind of.
Yeah. Longfox hasn't had a lot of our friend
Base Chiraboga. Giving that double click. You're installing that clickless with red level clearance, and it looks like we're gonna get advance. Didn't actually res they could have res also the Mamba Temple to res the base Chiraboga for cheaper. I think they're missing a couple of their triggers. Vitruvius getting a counter on it as well. That lets them pull Biotic Labor if they have something. Next turn they'll have 6 credits, which isn't enough. No, it's not enough. They need generally 7, but game point is now afoot. Longfox up on 5 agenda points. They could, in theory, like Biotic Labor, advance, even score out a 4-2 from hand, as long as one of the 2 Jeeves survives. Now, this would require them to have a bit more money, and they're not going to have burst money here. They only have 2 coming in for the Maryland, and I think paulyg might wants to trash that. A clickless 2 credits is worth a lot. Also, every time they run, they can get a credit. Unfortunately, Long is using that for the draw. Maybe they just don't have the Biotic or the next Bass that they need. Accessing a card, building up turning wheel, trashing a Maryland, coming back for another card. Oh yeah, you're right. Long has an SSL ticking. You're totally right. They do have that option here.
You see the power of Advanced Concept Hopper, that it's drawing them towards other combo pieces. Maybe it's helping them break R&D lock. It's an interesting ID. I think I made it 45-15. I was worried about it being too powerful, and I'm glad
It seems like ETF, but a bit more like decision making because you have a choice. Yeah. So I think that's cool. Yeah. SSL firing, everything firing. So I think paulyg got 3 accesses, trashed 3 different things: 8 through Maryland, Bass in advanced assembly lines, and I think the Bass is the best thing Long could draw. But up on 9 credits again, Biotic Labor into a 4-2 and a 3-2 might be possible. But we haven't seen a lot of operations in this deck, if at all. Oh, sorry, we've seen red level clearance. So let's see what they do here.
Yeah, and as long as Jeeves is on the board, an HB deck can pretty easily fast advance a whole host of agendas. It's pretty scary.
So at this point, Project Vitruvius also gets a counter, so they can always just pull back a Bass Chiraboga. So if they draw into the agenda, they can either red level clearance from hand or pull the Bass. Like they have a lot of flexibility in what they can pull. But it looks like they did install, got a click after from Jeeves. But if this is a 3-2 or a 4-2, that's it. Falsified credentials, finding out server 1 has actually Vitruvius in it, so paulyg has 3 clicks to get away into this remote. They're showing a lot of money, but they're not showing a lot of breakers. No boomerang. I don't know what sort of ice this deck has. I imagine we'll see things like Gatekeeper. I imagine we'll see things like Hagen. We have ways through 2 of them, so basically, I don't know if there's any sentries that end the run here. Drafter actually can throw the agenda into archives, and they can pull it back out with Project Vitruvius, so a Drafter here is actually kind of safe. Border control would be sweet, though, because they'd win the game.
Yeah, Drafter certainly isn't an ice you would tend to put on your remote server.
Yeah, sometimes you
And
just wanted to either boomerang charge or whatever.
sometimes it ends up on there because that's what you have, or you're trying to bait a boomerang, but they'd be pretty lucky if they happen to have put it on here.
Now this is also really big. If paulyg steals this, not that they win the game, but they win the game in 2 turns once the Vacheron times out. Advanced Concept Hopper opting for the draw. There's the drafter. So it is actually technically safe. And they also can add a card from Archives at HQ, which basically I think they win the game. Because they might, right? Because they can bring the Bass to hand, and then they have to install the Bass in the remote. So that they're like giving them the 3/2. What's happening? So this Bass is safe. So if they basically have a 4/2 in hand, they win.
Yeah, so they're kind of representing that they have a 4/2 in hand.
Yeah. That's the Vitruvius. They could have protected Vitruvius, but again, that's the strength of Vacheron here. You don't win yet until this time's out. That's 2 more turns. And this deck will go fast enough where 2 more turns is a huge amount of time. And Longfox has the Bast in the remote. They can res that for 2 credits if they res their Mamba Temple as well, which I believe is what server 7 contains.
I would assume the game's over here, right? But
I don't know. Yeah, I think they definitely should have installed the Bast over the Vitruvius and then recycled the Vitruvius if they really need to. They could have also pulled... They pulled a card to their hand. Wait, what did they pull to their hand? Because they pulled 1 card and installed another card.
I think they got the red level clearance and they installed the Bass.
Yeah. I feel like there might have been different ways. Even like a Rashida and server 9 would be good, and you pull the Bass into your hand.
Yeah.
Thinking, okay, they're figuring it out. It looks like they don't have it obviously in hand at this point, so maybe they could have had a different route there. Man, this deck might not just run Biotic Labor, which is wild.
Yeah. While they're thinking, I will point out that Bess Chiriboga has a very simple ability, and I just love that the Nisei flavor text team were like, look, or the Nisei creative team just took the rest of the card to put a very funny bit of lore on there.
Yeah. I think I look at that hat, and that hat specifically is like, it's from a South American culture. I forget which one it's from, but it's like a traditional hat.
Interesting.
All right, Long is giving us a thought here. There's a lot of options. Again, this Vitruvius token lets them clicklessly move a card from Archives to HQ. A lot of options. None of these are fantastic. Like, they have a red level clearance in hand, so they can always like clicklessly draw 2 and see where their turn starts. If they had a Biotic Labor, this would have been so easy. I'm pretty sure.
They don't really have the credits for it, but they could use a Vitruvius to get another another Bass out of
Boss is unique. Oh, but you're right. You could double base.
Yeah.
Double base with Jeeves means you can probably score it at 5/3.
Yeah, I think so.
I wonder if they had that. It looks like they're just fully operationaling. So again, paulyg just has to like survive another turn or 2 more turns with the Vacheron. Basically, Long needs to win this turn or they lose the game.
Yeah.
Because next turn the Vacheron will time in.
Yeah. paulyg is an interesting spot here because you're sort of tempted to get a bunch of accesses. I think that's the best line, but you also are afraid of, that's pretty good. You're also afraid of your draws causing them to draw into the thing they need.
So actually going for a draw here, which is pretty interesting. I think maybe you want to credit. It depends whether they have the combo or not. Now this is 2 clicks to have that 5 credit swing. I don't think it's as important paulyg has the money as of course that Long doesn't. This will leave Long on 7 credits, which is enough to Biotic and score out from hand. 8 credits is what you want to score out of hand if they need a fast advance of 4/2. Bass I think is 1 credit cheaper than what's it called? Than Biotic. So they might still be able to score out of 4/2 with Bass.
Yeah, I think it's
running server 10. What is this?
I think that's the Bass. Oh no, that's a whoa, cool.
So that's a reconstruction. So they're on dedicated ceremony combo. Even if they trash that, like that's a really good card when it comes to red level clearance because you can sell that clicklessly. Whether this is better than a Biotic Labor, I don't know. And still, paulyg has to make sure they don't lose this turn. Like, another diversion might have been just good enough. I think you obviously can't trash the Gs, which is upsetting, right? Like, because there's 2 Gs on the table. Actually, trashing 1 might be okay, just because I don't know if they have enough money. But trashing the Bass in server 9 seems way better.
Yeah.
So Long has 1 turn to close it. If they have Biotic Labor into a 4/2, they have it. I don't know what else they need to close the game. Obviously, server 1 could just be the winning agenda. A Rashida would also be pretty nice. It is a Rashida. That's going to open up a lot of windows for long.
Well, I think they also have. I think they still have the red level clearance in their hands. So
they do.
And the Vitruvius counter, so they can score out a 4-2 without a biotic. If they just go get a even with what's in archives already, if they get a Bass.
I think they have it. They added a Bass back to their hand, so they can red level clearance for Bass. They basically, if they drew the 4-2, they have it here.
Yeah,
I think that's it. I think they exactly have it. One turn before, red level clearance. They raise the Mamba Temple. That's going to realize the Bass for 1 credit fewer. Install card in server 1. They pop the Bass. They have 3 clicks left. They'll do advance, advance, advance. Get a token probably back. Oh, it's not even. They have the Vitruvius. They got it. They had it. That was 1 click shy of the turn returning priority to paulyg and paulyg having the Vacheron token. And that would be the game. So, wow, really close.
Heck of an agenda.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Do you want to pop into... Oh, it looks like the game just ended. Too bad. Looks like CTZ and Groen.
Okay.
Finished. I'm going to peek at it, see what happens.
There's some conversation in chat about Dumb Bricks deck, but it looks like it finished the Ad Blitz deck. I wonder how that went. How did the Ad Blitz game goes?
Oh, it looks like... So I just tuned into this Jack Sinclair deck. I'm seeing an APOC. I'm seeing...
this is Cortez?
Yeah.
Oh, it's still open, right?
It is still open, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's Jack Sinclair, APOC, and apparently, yeah. I think Rob's deck, like CTM, is pretty weak to Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Guess let's see injection attack. What is their breaker? What is their breaker?
Yeah, I didn't. They have enough.
It's Amakua. And they have Kangamato, Gabali, and stuff.
Oh, that explains the 3 virus counters on this face down card.
So that's an Amakua that they injection attacked. That's wild.
Well, good for CTZ. I think he might be in the running for top 4.
Andre says they said that the Ad Blitz is still going. Isn't that Dumb Bricks game? Where's it still going? It's Oscillate's game? Wait, am I...
Dumb Bricks. There's 2. There's 2.
Oh, there's 2. Okay, yeah, very good. Thank you. Thanks, Bob.
The other rebranding team is Aruzan.
Okay, so this is the one that we saw before. This is the one that's on Sandberg, if I'm not mistaken, we have 4. So all the ice has +8 strength with Sandberg. Ad Blitz is pretty crazy because you can't trash Sandbergs. If this is the version that also has whatever that thing is, Indian Stock Exchange, it gets even better. Oscillate playing Bhagat. This is the first time we've seen Bhagat ban Sandberg, absurd card. Yeah, I think Sandberg is a bit absurd, especially when it can be recurred near infinitely with Ad Blitz. I do think, I don't know, nobody plays political operative, do they? Bhagat, again, I don't know if the Bhagat deck runs Sneak Door Beta. I feel like with Ngolo taking up not only a restricted slot, but also 2 MU, that Sneak Door Beta is a bit harder to get into that deck, but it's pretty good. I wonder how many times Bhagat has fired. That's always another question to ask all the players who play Bhagat, how many times it actually matters. We're getting a Stargate down. We're just stim hacking the remote. And then we have to get through a guard, which is really cute because it can't be bypassed at 10 strength. It's going to cost you a heck of a lot. And then an Ngolo in which you still have to break 2 subroutines. Once you trash the Sandberg, that's the kind of the cool thing about this deck is the ice is probably a bit shit. So if you can trash the Sandbergs, which again you need to trash through multiple Ad Blitzes, this might just be a waste of time. Who knows? Strength 10 is kind of disgusting. Yeah, it's a bit much. It's a bit much. So this, like, that's the problem with the Rebranding Team is like this ability is entirely useless outside of Spark, which is not in the meta, but obviously this one card. Like this deck basically, it just says play 3 Ad Blitz. Like there's nothing else to it. It's just so, and it's obviously very strong. Solo Marathon is saying I saw last round they got up to 40 strength ice. Woof.
That's like 200.
Yeah.
Credit, right?
And it's because they can do that thing that you outlined in your rules that they could do like infinite advanced assembly lines.
Yeah. I mean, once you have 40 credits, it's like effectively infinite.
Yeah. Bring back IT department, the fair Sandberg. Jessica, that's so far from being correct. Yeah, Sandberg is unique, and it's actually like IT department is atrocious. IT department doesn't need money though, and like at least you can force someone to spend money. You can't force someone to IT. Who hurt you? Can't even play rumor mill to blanket. Yeah, that's true. Stargate coming down. I guess you're hoping server 4 isn't a Sandberg. With 38 credits, the 3 of them are getting spent on the slot machine. Let's see it. Slot machine. Third Sandberg. Slot machine gonna hit resource event resource. So that's, you know, middle case. That's 3 credits lost on each side, or sorry, 3 credits gained. We're gonna fire all here. So 6 credit swing oscillates down to 8 credits. Not that much to break, but again, Ngolo does get through a lot of different things, and it's just a gold farmer. It's another 4 credits to go through. It's important to know oscillate is on 3 points. How much more time is in the round?
Plenty. 49 or like 40 minutes.
Awesome. I'm joking about my partner loves IT department, so I make sure supporting it every now and then. Yikes. I'm not excited about your kitchen table, Netrunner. Neither of these guys end the run with Sandberg. Yeah, that's really weird. We saw that in a couple of the Sandberg decks where they had like, you know, gold farmers and slot machines res, which are fine ice. It's just particularly not amazing with Sandberg. Showing a Rashida Yahim, a Toll Booth, and a Bellona. So Bellona doesn't gain the advertisement sub type. I'm doubting that this deck specifically is running preemptive action, considering Ad Blitz kind of works just as well. Oh no! Oh no! It's a Wampoa! Oh, the worst case scenario. Oh, fuck me. Every card everyone hates in one deck. Oh my god. That's so rough. Okay. So that's a thing. Install card at server 3, advanced events. It's on the Baker Bay grid. That shouldn't change too much, but 33 credits is just good enough when oscillate's down at 5. I don't know if Bhagat is fired. I really don't know if Bhagat has fired at all. It's kind of easy to ice up HQ. This is also a 50 card deck, I think Bhagat is.
Yeah. In retrospect, it probably didn't need to be.
I feel like Bhagat just seems like, well, yeah, it's true that you have that ability on top of what's her name, Alice Merchant, but Alice Merchant, like, she forces you to ice up archives. You generally ice up HQ anyways, right?
Yeah, I think it's a worse trigger, and it's a server you probably want to protect more. So I think Bhagat probably didn't need to be 50 cards.
Yeah, maybe not. Well, hey, the future. Advanced events. That's an SSL. Up on 6 agenda points means Aruzan can close this out with a simple 15 minutes. I don't think, well, you got to play around Clot, I guess, on Street Peddler, but I put them at really odd chance of that. Also, Alice might not even need to be a 50-15. Yeah, she probably doesn't need to be. I think Alice's ability, though, is underappreciated. I think it is actually ludicrously strong. Unfortunately, all the other abilities are economy-based, and that actually gets valued a lot more. And against a lot of matchups, it does. Problem I find with Alice is against Breach Domes. Like, you really need tech, or sometimes it gets to be an issue.
Yeah, I think when I was setting these IDs, oftentimes I was comparing them to an existing runner, and that was probably, or, you know, an existing card, and that probably led to some wrong evaluations, because I should be evaluating whether it's how it compares to
what else is available,
average runner, rather than like a swing runner. I don't know if I like this Stargate, because with Wampoa there,
it's literally a waste of time.
Do anything.
Yeah, this is a straight up waste of time. Can't be correct, because they'll just trash a card from HQ and then put that card back into their deck. Yeah, this can't be correct. A single axis is way better here than the Stargate. Unless you're doing this to Stargate not an agenda, like if there's agenda's the second card or the third card, it lets you give some information. Like, it's not the worst, but you don't want to you don't want to trash an agenda. Here you got Rashida. So if you trash Rashida, you can run back and not steal Bellona because you don't have 5 credits.
Yeah.
Where's window when you need it? Yo, what up, Teapot? Actually, yeah.
What I've done is made this like a 100 card deck, so it would be you know, like a 400 card deck. So then it would be actually playing Showing Off, and then it would have the tools it needs.
Yeah, that's exactly what you need. All right. So we got the Bellona in the bin again with Wampoa Reclamation. This is a restricted card for what it's worth. That shouldn't matter too much. Oscillate doesn't even have the 5 cards to steal it, let alone as soon as they go steal it, they can shuffle. Actually, you know what? The whole thing that we were thinking about, like putting the agenda on top of the deck with Stimhack, or sorry, with Stargate, doesn't make sense, because you can just Wampoa to shuffle. Oh no, it doesn't shuffle. That's the bottom. Never mind.
Yeah, it just puts it on the bottom.
All right, well, I think they just realized that there's a Wampoa there, and they said, oh, after they try and Stimhack it out of archives. Not a click ability. Yeah, I think they realized that Stargate was pretty rubbish, unfortunately.
Fair enough. Well.
Yeah, unfortunately they didn't realize. That's a bummer. Kriya's asking, I've been tuning in and out. Could someone clarify how the money engine between adblitz and AL works exactly? It's about reinstalling to the same server and the card allowing you to select a pair of ALs repeatedly. Yep, that's largely it.
Yeah, so when you...
that really doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, so the reason it works like that is that when you resolve a card ability, you do it one thing at a time. And so for adblitz, it says, if you pick 7 for adblitz, it says install and res a thing, install and res a thing, install res a thing, install and res a thing. And so you can keep on, and when you install, you have the option to trash something from that server. And so you get to keep on install and resing the same thing, because when it gets trashed, the game doesn't recognize that trash thing as the thing you just installed. So yeah, it is pretty wonky. I think outside of this format, it's perfectly harmless because
it's asking for a lot to get to that point.
Yeah. If you score a rebranding team and you built your deck around hoping to score a 4-2, then you deserve it.
Yo, I jumped over to whatever table longfox and paulyg is on. I think it's one of the table 2 or table 3 maybe. But like, remind me again if you've seen this situation before. Somebody with like a lot of ice on the remote. They're up on game point. No ice on R&D. And then longfox finally being forced out of game point, stim hacks the remote, steals the agenda, and they have 2 R&D interfaces down. Like, paulyg is no longer favored to win this matchup. They were a bit short on time. Like, we've seen this so much. Like, longfox has been the absolute boss of digging up, unless this is a 15 minutes. No, it's not. So they still have to run this. We've seen this sync BRE. Mind you, all these trace sites have +1 strength, +1 of their trace. I don't know how they got through this the first time. Did they just trace through it? They're just stim hacking it. My God.
Fun thing with sync BRE, if for those of you who have not seen this card before, as worded, as written,
I know where this is going.
There's no duration on this second subroutine.
Yeah, classic Red Sand stuff, you know?
Yeah, and so when they printed it, there was this joke about how, that's forever. If you get hit by sync BRE, like
the rest of your Netrunner career is fucked.
Yeah, the rest of your Netrunner career, you just access one fewer card. And let me tell you, it's a pretty scary ice if you play it that way.
Yeah. Day 300 of sync BRE watch. Yeah, we did say that a heck of a lot. Yeah, they need to run that. They weren't running that. We were meant to play some tournaments. What were they meant to do? Those were dark times. Yeah, those were really bad times. I'm glad you all have been around since then.
And if you got hit by it pre-errata, I don't think you should be able to access those cards now.
No.
Yeah.
There's some also really good trace ice that didn't care whether the trace was successful or not.
Oh, yeah.
Good times.
And the tough thing about it is that there are a few ice, and they're actually rotated right now, that care about stuff besides whether the trace is successful or not, like Taurus and stuff like that. So you can't just say, hey... You
assume the traces work like that,
Yeah, you can't just shortcut it the way that they were probably thinking. They're probably thinking like, look, we can just say trace 4, do a brain damage. It's fine. But it isn't fine.
Wait, what just happened? Did they just run the remote again and steal an SSL? Yes, they did. Long is up on 6 points. paulyg is also up on 6 points, but we have 2 R&D interfaces and 12 credits to pauly's name. This remote, we're just stim hacking through sync BRE. We're just tracing through it. And again, this is Beth, right? Like, we don't have the link from the artist, but things are looking okay. I think Long is favored to close this off. This remote needs a border control. Again, like, you can just play good fair ice, but at the end of the day, like a border controller, an ash, anything that doubles the value of your ice is way better than that 4th ice. And paulyg needs to find it because 2 R&D interfaces is barreling down R&D quite soon. Now, the big thing is Long can't spend too much money where they go broke getting this triple access. Like, they always need to be able to contest the remote, even if they go all in here. And they only have access to 2 breakers. The Surveyor or any sort of sentry might be an issue with Data Raven. Here we have hardware program, 6 credits swing. Keep going. It's an IP block. You get through that for 4 credits? Yeah. Is paulyg playing 15 minutes? Yeah, paulyg could be. I don't actually remember. It's been a while whether paulyg is on 15 minutes, and we do actually have self-modifying code threatened to clot, so they actually can't pull that off just yet. Seeing 3 cards, this could be it. We also have 3 credits back from Psych Mike, another unique connection you can play in this format. Yo, make Psych Mike 17 influence. Make her Ken Tenma.
Yeah. That sounds good.
All right, segment game 3. We know the next 3 cards in R&D are not the agendas. Improved Tracers is a 45-15. Do you know off by hand?
Oh, yeah. I don't think I
felt that. Which means there's probably 3 more agendas in the deck within these 30 cards between hand, 31 cards between hand and R&D. So it's still a lot of work to be done on Longfox's side. Clicking the artist for 2. Oh, excuse me. And paulyg is drawing up. Again, you have to remember when you break R&D lock, a third ice going up on R&D, you're looking for the surveyors. They have pretty good strength. Thanos says, if I were to play Tracer ID, you think I would be Kitty for the 1-pointers? I don't know, actually. Kitty doesn't matter. Like, a lot of the traces that they're playing aren't traces to give tags. They're traces to do end runs or stuff.
Yeah, it's possible they're on Ravens and just haven't drawn them.
Yeah. Data Raven would be okay. And 5-strength Data Raven's pretty good.
Yeah, I think you would expect them to have a Raven out here somewhere if they were on Quantum Predictive Model.
Yeah.
Though, yeah, but it's hard to... Yeah, I don't think we know what their 1-point solution is, right?
I feel like in 15 minutes it's just so easy to put into any deck.
Yeah.
It also opens up like Seashores Exchange. Like, I don't know why I would ever play that over Quantum Kitty.
Well, people do like the Echo Chambers and just like
all
5.
But sure. That's for a 40-card deck, right?
Decks, yeah.
I think the deck list of the week right now is running Gene Splicer, which is another hot pseudo Echo Chamber ability.
Guru Devinder.
Yeah. So the thing with Guru Devinder, right, like you pay it for 1, and from this point on, you're probably never going to take damage, but it does protect you against punitive. Again, I don't know if that install is worth the click. Like you could just be clicking for a credit, especially if you haven't used the artist that turn, but I could see why you might consider it. I don't think there's any trace ice that does damage outside of Flare, but maybe there's a chance Flare's damage can't be prevented. I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't think it can be, because your computer blew up.
Yeah. Second ice on R&D again. Now I think we're seeing new cards for the first time, and keeping track of what cards you saw. That was a really big deal we saw today in that awesome, when Sokka was playing the Glen Station deck where that 5/3, the Global Food Initiative, snuck through. So like you really need to count your R&Ds, your locks. A second R&D interface is coming down with 29 credits to Longfox's name. They're going to charge its remote, and if paulyg spends money resing this ice, they have so much less for anything else. 7-strength Surveyor. No Sentry in hand, so it looks like we're going to be pulling out a self-modifying code into like what, nanotech, I guess?
Yeah, and now I know there's sort of a guideline for when you're playing against nanotech, whether even or odd numbers of ice on your server is more or less efficient. And I don't know what the correct answer is, but also I know it's probably different when you're playing against
tracers. Yeah,
you're playing against improved tracers.
Stoppel was saying a lot of med decks with 45 cards run 3 SSL Bologna, 50 minutes in Kitty. Yeah, I'd see that. Another option if they're doing punitive, though, is you could only run all 3-pointers, but there's obviously good reasons to run 3-1s. And jamming down the super corridor, I think for the ABU, putting down the nanotech, getting through that for 8 credits, still a lot of money. We're not on... That's a lot of money, right? Like, that was 2 installs off of Paula's, and Paula's only gets the once per turn, right? Yeah, so they don't get the full value from that. They should have just used Paul's Cafe and installed the super corridor a turn ago, right? Just to get the value.
I imagine if you're going through all this, you also go even more broke to install the R&D interface.
Yeah.
Actually, they might not be able to afford it.
Yeah, I don't think they can. Slot Machine hitting program, resource program. So that's, again, a 6-card swing. Pauly wants that money back after hitting that Surveyor res. This IP block, they have the money for it, don't they? I think so. So this could be it. The problem is they're accessing not with Bologna credits. Again, they do have Film Critic. They're also getting Psych Mike money after the run is successful, so that's going to help refund them a bit. And they just need to make sure they can run their remote. Sing 1, 2, 3. Nothing. Psych Mike gaining 3.
Yeah, and looking at the agendas that are already in the score area. Well, they do have they do have the Film Critic. So
yeah, I guess they Bologna would have been the worst.
Yeah.
Biased reporting. Ooh. Clickout says I joined another game and SB had 49 triggers from Ad Blitz and scored all agendas with team sponsorship calib testing. They drew all cards with Lily Lockwell. Wild.
Yeah. So
it's Stall Advance.
So Dumbrick messaged me and said, "Hey, I have a really gross deck. I'm not sure if it's okay. Should I tell you about it or what?" And this was after like all the identities that were revealed, and I didn't want to penalize them for coming forward with a busted deck that they came up with. But that was their rebranding team deck. They said this deck is stupid. It wins very reliably on turn 7 or 8. It can be slowed down by disruption, but it is somewhat resilient to disruption as well.
Yeah, I believe it.
It's definitely something I missed the boat on, really like thinking about how potent it was. So I'm not surprised somebody is wrecking house with it, and I'm so relieved that everyone is not wrecking house with it.
Yeah, if it was like half the tournament, that would have been a bit wild.
Yeah. I mean, it is a hard... I think A Dumb Brick did some really good work figuring out how to get that deck to work, like including Lily Lockwell, so that you not only get as many credits as you want, but as many cards as you want, is a really neat include for him to go combo-y. I think the other rebranding team deck we saw is more about, I'm just going to get a bunch of money, because that combo is a lot less logistically tricky to set up, and I'll score over the normal number of turns instead of scoring all my points right away. But yeah. Oh, sorry. Is it not Lily Lockwell? Shannon Clare? Or wait.
Lily Lockwell is the burst draw one, and lets you move operations. Shannon Clare is the one that lets you put cards on the bottom of your deck and draw from the bottom of your deck.
Oh, got it. Yeah, they're both. I mean, both.
Both are very relevant in a lot of those decks.
Yeah.
Long is taking a real pause here. So we saw install advance jam in server 2, but paulyg ended their turn on 0 credits, so it was pretty clear that was an NGO front, which is the money they needed. They spent a lot of that money putting ice here on R&D. That's a really big deal, because even if you can't or choose not to afford the res the ice, it just makes your surveyor stronger, +2 strength. That's pretty meaningful against nanotech that doesn't have the best boost to ratio, which is 3 credits for 2 strength. So every time you'd add an ice there, sometimes it ends up to being extra. Well, I guess it adds another strength to it, but a lot of times it adds 3 credits to the break cost. Also, a good fork here with the daily quest. Now, paulyg, we haven't seen whether they have any tag punishment with hard-hitting news or friends. Long, waiting for 20 credits, charging this remote. Mind you, they have 4 max hand size. They've taken 2 brain damage, so there might be another stim hack in their deck, but they're running here, and I don't know whether they've done the math, whether they can get through here. I
mean, credit to them for not doing the math. That sounds like a lot. I support their decision.
Yo, Solon brings up a really good point. Shannon Clare is a big breakthrough over that deck because it lets them infinitely recur ad blitz, right? Because they one poet to the bottom, then draw with Shannon. Yeah, that is pretty fucked up.
Yeah, I will say that it might not be something I wanted the format forever, but I'm really happy that
it's cool to see it do its thing. Like no one else has really played with that card.
Yeah,
like
really really innovative deck building to come up with it. And also credit to A Dumb Brick, who not only built this really good deck, but also was like, hey, I think this is really good. Is that okay? It was very kind of them to reach out to me, to just like say, hey, is it okay if I bring a degenerate thing to your tournament?
Yeah.
They didn't need to. They absolutely didn't. I mean, there's a lot of degenerate stuff here, and nobody cleared it with me. But they didn't. I think it's really kind of them. Ooh.
Kyle's saying that's old news, the Shannon Clare combo. It totally was, and that was like something that was abused back in the days of like old Gagarin decks when Wampoa was not restricted with Museum. But it's definitely very strong in that deck to get that in there.
All right. It looks like A Dumb Brick is in chat and giving me the okay to ban Rebranding Team. That's a great data point to have, and I really appreciate it. It's probably going to happen.
So you know what? Longfox ended up paying 6 credits to force in some res for paulyg. Some of that money is going to come back from daily quest, but now they have the full math to figure out what goes here, what it costs to run R&D. And again, they need to just access with money. Doesn't matter as long as they have 2 clicks left to end the game with Film Critic. paulyg drawing up 17 cards left in archives, 2 in hand. They're going to have to discard. And I don't know what they do. Like at the end of the day, whether R&D is the hardest thing to run through, at the end of the game, they still have to jam into remote server 2, unless they do have a 15 minutes. So far, we've seen 2 NGO fronts, so the chance of them jamming something to the remote, it's probably not an NGO front. Well, you know what I mean. There's only 1 left. Yeah. And they only have 4 cards to the name. Actually, Longfox, going to check archives. Seeing some pretty good ice. Throwing out a surveyor, that's wild, right? Like, you'd want that surveyor on server 2. It's one of your best pieces of ice. I haven't done the math itself. It seems really good. So what's an HQ?
Yeah, it also, I feel like this big protection of R&D makes, I mean, you kind of need to do it, but it also makes me feel like paulyg might just be thinking, I just got to find this 15 minutes and this game's over.
Yeah, I believe it. Now, we don't know. There's no longer a self-modifying code threat on the table. That self-modifying code was pulled off the Powerless Cafe to pull in the nanotech, if I'm not mistaken. So if there is a clot, it's not represented or it's not threatened, which is a really big deal as a window to get 15 minutes out. Paul drawing up, I think, their whole turn. So drawing 4 cards that turn, 13 left in R&D. So longfox has some options here. Turning wheel coming down way too late, I think, to get the HQ pressure in before they needed. Atman also coming down. I wonder if we're going to see Stimhack Atman 11. You also probably could just do Atman 5 to get easily through the slot machines and the IP blocks. That lines up really well, actually, because the IP block get boosted and the slot machines aren't tracers. Like, Atman 5 seems dope in this matchup. It does actually, never mind. It does give you IP block tags, so I kind of take that back. Slot machine. You can always see what that hits before you fire anything off with your deck. Also, paulyg did get the benefit of seeing a bunch of the cards in longfox's deck. Installing the admin. Ooh, trashing probably Rozeki. I don't know if you want that on the table with double IP block, triple IP block on the table, and the threat of quantum predictive model.
Yeah, I guess going through the...
Oh, they also only have 1 click left. Like, they can't even use the turning wheel. So if there's a 50 minutes in hand, that's it.
Yeah, I guess one thing that's cool about Atman 5 is that it breaks IP blocks.
Sure, but tags.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the 5's lineup's really nice. Like, half the ice on the table is at 5.
Yeah.
They trashed nanotech.
Is if your ambition is to just... Oh, okay, that doesn't... Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. Because if your ambition is to just hit R&D one more time, the Atman... being able to break both the IP blocks very efficiently is neat. But also...
Why the nanotech?
But then you have to worry about quantum predictive model.
Yeah.
And that is unappealing.
Economic warfare is going to make a 4 credit dent to longfox, pulling them down to 9. I don't think the hard-hitting news is going to fire, but if there's a 15 minutes, that goes through right now. It's a perfect time. Nanotech, though, getting thrown out. That's wild. I know the Rozeki is good for money, but like I feel like you want a way to get through the sync BRE without tracing. Economic warfare, might as well just play for value, I guess, even if you don't have any legitimate punishment.
Yeah, the ecos don't get better, so I don't know if this is... I mean, I guess the reason you hold on to them is that it's a surprise. But once they know about it, you most of the time just want to have it happen.
Double eco.
Ooh,
yeah, that was the Echo Eco. They're down onto, they get up pretty fast. They play Peace in Our Time, which means they can't run this turn, which is okay for them. But that's a huge bounce back, and that's something paulyg should have known. I think they saw 2 in a row on the top through Slot Machine. So next turn, if they don't jam, that's going to be another 9 credits coming in for Fox, another 5 credits for paulyg, which is actually pretty okay when considering Beth is there. And 9 cards left in R&D. What? You need that nanotech. You need to go find it. paulyg doesn't have a 15 minutes in this list. Needs to jam into server 2. As long as you have the credits and the breakers, you can get in there. Another ice on HQ here. paulyg might just have drawn the 15 minutes. Klokas is asking, by the way, in chat, what does OKORINA mean? It means only kind of runner in New Angeles, which is a reference to Kati Jones. One kind of runner, excuse me.
Yeah, because Kati's flavor text, because she's a runner in the sense of she delivers stuff and smuggles stuff. She's like, her flavor text is, you're not the only type of runner in New Angeles. And if all connections are runners, then that is not true. You are the only kind of runner in New Angeles. And I forgot the exact
No, don't say that. Don't say it. OKORINA is better than OKORINA.
Oh, yes, but I'm happy that it happened because, OKORINA doesn't really work as well.
All right, so they pieced in our time, which means they can't run, which means 15 minutes will go through here. Install in server 2, advance events. That could easily be it. This is either an agenda, but there's no way they jam an agenda between this little ice. They're waiting for an effect. That's it. paulyg has the 15 minutes. They drew into it. That piece in our time, I think, obviously cost them the game. If they saw they double ice HQ, you should just go for it. I think you have the turning wheel. You actually could see a lot of cards in HQ, but they went for the piece, hoping they were in 15 minutes, and that didn't work out for them.
I think they didn't need the money, really.
No, they really didn't. They're making 3 a turn. They were thinking it was 6x5-3. I think that's a pretty legitimate thing to call. I don't see why you wouldn't put the 15 minutes in. We've seen not that much Anarch, and I think turntable is the only reason why you would want to slip the 1-pointers in there. But good game to both players. Again, like 3, 6, 9, 12, 13. There's still 3 agendas left in the deck. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, give or take. So like between R&D, just getting that one last run if they could afford it and seeing 4 cards might have also closed the game off. All right, we only have a couple minutes left in this whole tournament. Where do we want to go? Aruzan versus osclate is still going on. Yeah, why not?
Oh, for what it's worth, it's pronounced osclate. It's a portmanteau of the word Oscar and chocolate. 2 childhood pets that Laura had as a kid.
Oh, cute.
Yeah.
Osclate.
Yeah, I think one of them was well, there's a high-profile target in the...
Oh, osclate's playing Divested Trust. I totally forgot about this.
Wait, is this game over? What happened?
No, they're still good. It's 6 points to 4 points. They're accessing archives. They're about to access archives. Oh, wait, no, I think it is over. I don't know what happened.
Oh, did they concede when the...
Do they win when Divested Trust steals a 3-pointer? Okay. What happened there? There was an agenda in archives. Okay.
Because the runner has 10 million credits, I guess.
So this is our top table. We've seen this before. What? There's nothing on Glen's station? Oh, it's turn 4. It's turn 4. We got a whole game, and this is a slow-ass game? How much time do we have in the round?
There's a decent amount of time left in the round, I think.
I would say like half an hour.
Just 16 minutes.
Oh, okay. So 16 minutes to close this out, so they really have to rush. They've got good advancements so far. Priority construction put in ice here could actually be pretty scary. A Colossus with 3 advancement tokens get some pretty mean subroutines on it. They boomeranged it though. They're going to keep going. This ice also has 2 advancements on it. It's just an Aket, still only 2 strength. This one doesn't increase in strength entirely like Ice Wall. It has 2 states. It's still in state 1, so going to go through that relatively cheaply to trash the piece in our time. And I don't think this deck is hard-hitting news or has any sort of actual pressure attached to it or any sort of punishment, but there's still a live government takeover somewhere. They haven't drawn into one of their 3 fast tracks. They haven't jammed it out just yet. Card on server 1, probably wall to wall or Rashida. I'm not sure what other assets Sokka has in their deck. Nice noticing they should be on 2 link because of the Cybertrooper Talut and the artist. Artist, mind you, a 50 card deck, 15 influence, 1 link. And they have the Fractor, one of their best tools against a Wayland. But I think this Wayland deck, we saw multiple Colossi in it. So you have to be a bit wary when you start face checking with 6 credits. Also, can any of these Glen Station Redline Couriers decks do anything against a Clot? I think that's exactly why you need the false leads.
Yeah, it is a lot harder to clot people these days, but yeah.
Because if they threaten clot, like you're in a hard spot. We didn't see any Cyberdex Fire Suites, but if you like install the agenda the turn prior and then do like false lead, then you're safe for clot, because clot only cares if the agenda was installed or scored, excuse me, on the same turn that was installed.
Yeah.
Kakotz says OKORINA stands for OK, obviously Rebranding Team is not allowed. Proco, clicking up for them cards and then credits. We're getting Rizeki money to come in. Sure Gamble, the artist obviously installs, Cyberdelia for just 2 credits. Pretty good value in Captain, just building up that board state. The biggest thing here is to get that multi-axis up. Soka scoring a hostile takeover. Install advance, no real window, no real ability to threaten a clot if there is one there. So they're up on what they need. This is technically also a game point if we go to time. 1 point is better than 0. I wonder if Sokka won. Does anyone know if Sokka won their first game? Like, are they still undefeated? There's the multi-axis. If it wasn't in the R&D interfaces, we have it on the turning wheel, and getting accesses is so important. Again, we've seen the agenda density of this deck. If I'm not mistaken, you need to steal all but 2 agendas in this deck to win. But I think the biggest thing is that there's still a government takeover hanging out, likely in R&D. Install on server 3, advance, I'd imagine. Self-modifying code, we might be clotting here. Captain Knight says 1 second. Sokka got them big eyes. We're thinking here. And even if you don't have clot, I love this play. Like, I think 1 sec thinking, you got to angle like that. You got to say, like, here, let me think. And then be like, no, it's good if you don't have clot. I've seen too many people be like, nah, it's fine. Like, you know, you gotta win this one. No, go ahead. Good stuff. I think it's really good to keep your clot for obviously the government takeover. So I think this makes a lot of sense. They also haven't scored server 1. Makes me think it might be a false lead.
I'm hoping it's a government takeover.
Ooh.
I don't think it's...
Because if it's a wall-to-wall, you res it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They don't have enough counters to score out the government takeover. They're short 2. If it is it could be it. But what is this that they're not resing? Like, it has to be false lead, and they're just top-decking hostiles instead. Game early was rough with the runner's last second win. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Kayambe probably, I think we saw this list and it's not on Kayambe. I think it's only on wall-to-wall. We saw almost every card in the deck on the second round, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't think they had Kayambe. Even if it was Kayambe, I think you res it just because it makes Colossus better, or you would have made the Akkat better. It's sometimes nice for a surprise if you don't res it right.
Interesting.
So they wanted to run Archives Pop SMC for Nanotech. That's just so they can use the 2 bad publicity. It's pretty good value. Gets the Nanotech on the table. Now they can check the remote. They have all 3 breakers out, but they're actually just going for the Hushuk here. That's really strong. Oh, there's a government takeover in this deck. This is an absurdly strong Hushuk. Let's talk about our 2s. We got an Oiler, we got 2 Rizekis, we got a Corroder, we have a Cybertrooper Talut, and we have a Turning Wheel and a Beth. This is full 2s. We're getting through that mouse list for cheap with the Oiler. If they hit a government takeover here, and this is Sokka's only loss of the whole day, it would not be surprising.
I have never seen 6 points taken from a government
takeover. No government takeover, but the C Global Food Initiative's going to steal that to be up on 2 points, so still they're on time. Or if it comes to time, it's a draw. We still need to get just 1 point up. They also did see what's going on here. Biotic Labor, Fast Track, but again, few in chat, thank God is correct. Sweating absolute bullets, but you know there's going to be 2 more Hushuks following up. Oh, they just found it. That's what the few is for. Fast Track off the top of the deck. Mind you, Hushuk does shuffle after it, so you're not going to see the same cards. Government Takeover out in space on Glen Station. No, they had their window. They just missed it. I think you want to set up a turn where you can do Hushuk, or whatever you need to get done.
Yeah. Oof.
Oh, man. Absolutely nuts. All right, so Sokka now knows what they need to build up for the win condition. They have to worry about Cloth Threat, which is not threatened on the table right now. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They need 2 more advancement counters. We don't know whether to have their Biotic Labors or Red Planets in hand. We saw a couple in the deck, actually just a Biotic Labor. They're going to need double Biotic unless, and we know it's not in server 1, so this has to be a false lead, right? Charging HQ, 21 credits to their name, only 2, also with 2 bad pub. Sokka only at 9 credits. No really good reses here anymore. Yeah, this one's fine. This is actually pretty expensive, Mouseless. I remember playing Oiler decks against Mouseless. It's pretty tricky. It's 7 to get through all of that. My God, you get 1 back with Cyberdelia, 2 with bad pub. Stealing a false lead from HQ. Okay, now Captain Nice is winning on time. Going back, spending another 7. This is, or just jacking up for the turning wheel. Yeah, that seems good. Oh my God, you need more advancements. You need a bit more money. But again, Sokka, if anyone can dig out of these situations, I think Sokka can figure this one out. We've seen so much good play from them. Really thinking like a couple turns ahead, not just playing the hand they have, but obviously playing their win condition and figuring out how to close the game. Definitely a good sign. Again, this is our reigning Canadian national champion. So you expect only the highest level of play. Gain a credit, draw a card, gain a credit though. That's weird ordering, but again, Canadian national champion. Proko drawing up twice. There's that Hushuk. Government takeover is not going to be here. Best case scenario, you find a food. Worst case scenario, you find nothing. In the middle, you find a false lead. Mouseless 7 credits to go through. Again, Cyber Daily plus a bad pup makes it a bit easier. Cat, you would love to have 2 more advancements on that. It gives you more advancements as you go. And we're going to see 6 cards off the top. Masfingo, Hedge Fund, Masfingo, Priority Con, Hoard'em, nothing. The Perpetual Whiff Hushuk. Yeah, you need 9 counters. 7 is not enough, no. Artist clicking up. They have a Career Fair in their deck. Ooh, 1 influence, nice include. They have a lot of resources. It makes a lot of sense. Sokka still understands what they have to do to get done. They could spend their turn advancing. We haven't played a single. They've played 1 mass comms. Advance, advance, advance. False lead.
Oh, nice.
Okay. So what is that?
In this deck, it is so innovative in terms of like setting up different routes to government takeover.
It does. We've seen so many people just play this, hard hitting news, boom. That's what people expect, but it is so flexible. The idea that if there's a border control on HQ, I guess you need 2, and they've been securing and protecting to get those in. You can pull it out of your hand and it saves you a biotic labor on the whole combo. Now there's still short credits, let alone advancement counters, but they're getting closer towards the win condition. And I think Nice is realizing there's nothing more they need in their deck. I don't think there's anything they need minus the last Hushuk. And I feel at this point, if they just build up turning wheel counters every turn, that might be good enough. Card in server 1, either a false lead or a wall to wall. I don't think there's anything else that they jam in this remote. 9 counters and 15 credits, I think. I think it's 13 credits for Biotic RPC. But if they pull it to hand, and then they can do like border control, it's the same amount of credits, but they need 1 fewer Biotic.
Yeah, and it's nice to see this innovative use of false lead too.
Yeah.
Because we mostly are just used to it being a boom enabler.
Oof, should have advanced it. It's a wall to wall. Yeah, they definitely should have advanced Aket once more. It would have been huge, right? Because they would have got a free advancement counter. And that's exactly what they need at this point. Like, their Akets should be on triple advance. It would do a lot. The thing is, like, I don't know if Nice is going to be running R&D too much until they find their final Hushuk. There's also a play where like you wait for them to empty the turning wheel and then you just say fuck it and pull the government takeover to hand. And even if you don't have double border control into a false lead, you can basically stop them from getting too many accesses. You have to get a bit lucky, but it's definitely a possibility. Let's see if they know they advance the Aket. Not only is it 5 strength, you can only break 1 subroutine, which means they'll probably gain a credit and an advanced token. Exactly what they need right now in the matchup, and they definitely regret last turn. What's the IG for the corp? Ken70, this is Glenn Station. Welcome to OKORINA, a tournament where the identities have been replaced by connections and agendas. We know there's a government takeover hosted on there, but here we have the final Hushuk. 6 cards. Again, best case, food. Worst case, nothing. 1 pointer somewhere in the middle. Hushuk Sing 6, nothing.
Oof.
Again, the agenda density of this deck is like nutty small. It's so many 1-pointers, but we've seen 12 accesses, pseudo accesses, nothing. It does make the turning wheel better. They do have Rashidas in the deck, I didn't realize. And so this deck card here is probably Rashida. Could be a wall to wall. Fuck it, even another false lead would be good enough.
Now, of note, time is kind of running down in the round.
They're both tied. 3-3. Are you ready to call it in chat? Or do you want to tell me and I'll call it in chat?
Oh, there are 5 minutes. There's 5 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Actually, one thing about it is that Sokka's keeping an eye on it too, which I always like to see as a tournament organizer, that my players are keeping an eye on it. Certainly when you're playing live, players don't have the responsibility to keep track of time, but when it's just as simple as like looking at a clock and keeping an eye on it, it's nice that they are paying attention.
I think Sokka also knows that their deck takes time, so they care about the clock and need to play fast just to make sure they can get to their win con. Stim hack on the remote. Again, that means Akat's going to get a credit and an advancement counter. That will power up probably the second Akat. I don't know what else you do. Maybe the mouseless. Accessing a card here, and Nice's credits are slowing down a wee bit. Spending a lot to get this remote. Again, the Colossus is a hell of a card. And trashing Rashida Yahim, losing another stim hack to brain damage. That happens. Oh no, losing Riseki, excuse me.
I guess that's a pretty good trash. You didn't really have the mute for that anyway.
Yeah. Where did they put the advancement counter? I think they put on Colossus just to make that more taxing to jam at this remote every turn.
I don't know if Colossus is at a good strength or a bad strength for Nanotech right now, but...
So, okay, this is at 3 strength, so you do 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's better now. It's 3 credits more expensive.
I guess that's what we'd expect from a Canadian champion.
Sokka drawing up. Again, let's do a counter count. We're at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They have exactly enough counters They're icing up archives, and they just need credits. So minimum credits they need is 9. Maximum.
What do you have for here?
I don't know. Dirty laundry.
Yeah. Ooh, interesting.
Resing a Colossus. That seems like a desperate res there. Going down to 1 credits. Unless this is a thing that can advance to get mass comms on it. That might be another good reason to put something in archives.
Yeah. Interesting.
But the Colossus res here is also really important just so they don't get away with turning wheel murder, right? Like they can't just bounce off of it infinitely. So even resing here to go down to 1 is probably good enough. I think best case scenario this turn is advanced mass comms and then they're threatening the win next turn. As long as they have all the cards they need.
I guess ultimately that's why you need to res there, because otherwise, even though the Colossus isn't that important, but yeah, they can just turning wheel forever. Yeah,
turning wheel is a huge issue. Again, they have 6 counters. The problem is, like, even with 6 counters, it's really hard. It's better for them to use them on HQ after they try and, like, you know, pull out the government, the government takeover if they don't score at the same turn. Clicking for 2, no one mass comms just yet. And maybe Sokka's best interest is not to play mass comms until the turn before they can score, just to give Captain Nice as little time as possible to prepare for it. Beth also this is Beth, but not ID Beth. Not getting a lot of value. Sokka also just valuing getting underneath that 5 credit threshold just to ensure that Captain Nice struggles as much as they can for their 2 credits a turn. Again, Shaper Economy hasn't been really solved in this meta with the changes to the identities. None of the identities are very econ heavy besides the artist, I would argue. But without currents, it's a bigger deal. Installing the Clot.
Interesting.
Does Sokka not just purge here? And then I guess you install a simul chip, but then what the heck does Sokka do? I think Sokka has to go for a false lead play.
Yeah, I guess I do like... I mean, if you draw the Clot, you might as well put it down, because to get rid of it, you gotta spend a click. That's fine.
SCP, putting a border control. Yep, there you go on HQ. Sokka setting up for that border control into false lead. Lets you pull your government takeover from hand. I'm surprised that they're not, like, that means they're confident about how to get around Clot, which is really interesting. Checking archives, nothing to see there. Some ice, another border control. But now we're running R&D. Probably going to see a couple cards of the turning wheel token. Ket, not at strength yet, and like we're coming so close to time that Nice just wants 1 agenda. If they have 1 agenda, Sokka is in such a bad spot. Playing the Clot actually right before time starts is very interesting, because now it's not a quick turn, like it is a fast turn, but with the simul chip threat, I don't know if Sokka is going to have the ability to be able to government take over. That seems really difficult unless they can get the border control on centrals. Advance the Colossus, that means mass comms is probably standing in hand. Advance the mouseless mass comms for 12 credits. Sokka is up at 12. It's 1 credit short from the full combo, but with mass Clot, it doesn't matter too much. I don't think we've seen Cyberdeck's Fire Suite or any way to deal with the Clot clicklessly. Running HQ. Just getting turning wheel tokens because the outermost border control is not being rezzed here. Even if they res it, I think Nice can hit it and just let it fire or break it for 2 anyways with the corroder.
And they have 2 bad pubs, so
yeah,
it won't do much.
Turning, we're going to see an additional 4 cards. It's a 5-card axis. Nice just wants to get more points on the board because time is coming up, and it looks like the government takeover score is going to be a bit difficult. Nothing.
Oh, get took back maybe.
They've hit nothing, but yeah, AR Harmony Therapy lets them pick 5 different named cards. So yeah, I have no doubt Hushuk is going to go in there immediately. From there, what's good? To Kobe, if they have the MU, I don't think they do.
Yeah, less than a minute left in the round.
So you did Hushuk, Stimhack, Gamble, and that's it. You don't have to pick 5, it's up to 5, so you don't always need to bloat your deck. You don't need to add extra cards.
Play.
Sorry?
That's really clever. They only wanted those 3 cards, and they only got those 3 cards back. That's clever.
Yeah.
They didn't want to dilute them. I hadn't thought of that.
So with 11 credits and the Stimhack threat still back on the deck, like Sokka could be confident, grab the government takeover, jam into the remote behind a border control, and just say go. And you basically have 2 clicks you have to run through server 1 twice with border control and false lead. Glen Station added a card to HQ. They're doing it. Time in the round. Sokka knows it's time in the round. They're going to lose anyways, likely. So they're pushing. Captain Nice is going to start with 13 credits. The Clot doesn't matter because the government takeover was installed the turn before. So basically, Captain Nice is exactly 2 clicks to run this remote twice. If that's a border control, even fewer. If they res the border control, though, I don't think Sokka... No, Sokka still just needs 5 credits to be able to Red Planet Couriers out. This is a huge thing, and they ended their turn right as Sanjay, right as he wrote time in the round, so they just get 1 turn left. Sokka just throwing it in. Boomerang on the Colossus. I think they have enough money. This has to be a border control. This has to be a border control. It's a border control. So the big question is whether they can get through this remote twice in a row. What? Why did they border control there? Oh, because they installed a boomerang. Oh, nice goofed it up. Oh no, nice goofed it up because they installed the border control. That's all their clicks. Red Planet Courier scoring out the government takeover. They absolutely did it. Played exactly around the clock with the false lead for just that tempo gain, for the tempo loss, sorry, from Nice and the Red Planet Couriers. That's government takeover. Did Sokka lose a single game? Holy shit, right. Because they I don't know if they had to install the boomerang. If they installed the boomerang, they would pay 2 to get through the border control. They'd have to get through the Colossus. I don't know what the math is. I think it's really expensive. Then they'd have to get through the Arquette. Then they'd border control and they'd have to do it again. So there's a big chance they couldn't have done it. They were just 1 click short of getting the boomerang out on there. That's absolutely buck wild. Oh man, Sokka just always figures out, knows they have like a really narrow out and just identifies the out and plays to it. Because you think they'd be in such a bad spot, right? Like Claude, they played also right into time. If the time was called just like 10 seconds earlier, they wouldn't have had it. They wouldn't have had another turn. So that was absolutely down to the wire. Really well played from both players. There's also an option to not go for the remote and just try to win off of R&D, but it doesn't really make sense because if there's a government takeover in there, you're going to lose regardless. They need to pay a double for that run after boomerang.
It looks like Captain Nice won the corp game. Good for them.
Ooh, so they actually did not give Sokka that undefeated status.
Yeah, good for them.
That's the end of this tournament? Are you updating the standings or are you going to do that late? I imagine you updated standings, right?
Right now, I'm just waiting for the last game to report. It is over, but I don't have the documentation.
Border control 0 the first time Cyberdelia. It's actually +1 because they break all of it, and then they had bed pub. Yeah, that was a great finish. That was an absolutely absurd finish. So Sokka is going to almost definitely take first place with a very, very clean 27 points. He counts 24 plus 3 out on his fingers.
So it looks like... oh, do I have... All right, have it here. Okay, good. Runner split. Okay.
That was buck wild. So fun to watch. Bahram, I'm glad you feel that. It was the most entertaining to watch too. Again, this cannot be emphasized more. Firstly, shout out to Sanjay for running this, putting all this together, all the documentation, inviting all this. Thanks to all the people coming out to play in this tournament. Like, obviously, a really cool thing to do with your Sunday, and I'm glad you can participate in a format that's so absolutely buck wild and new and interesting. But again, Sanjay, you have... Well, I'm not going to force Sanjay to talk now because I know he's doing like clerical stuff. But like Sanjay, you plan to continue to participate or to support this format, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I better. Otherwise, this prize is garbage.
Yeah, the prize support is dependent on this running again, so I have no doubt. Yeah. These are the final scores. So basically, you were saying that the top 4 players plus anybody tied on points gets this prize, right?
Correct, yeah. And I'm happy that it's not a bunch of people because I don't want to ask too many things at a time, but yeah, so that worked out perfectly actually because I don't want people to be sad about their tiebreakers, but also, I don't want to add 10 million IDs to this thing.
So Sokka taking first, only losing 1 game. A shout out to Glen Station Class Act. We can also look at the identity distribution, which is really good here. Brick coming in second with a rebranding team that we thought was all kind of broken as shit, and it might be. Glen Station, we're seeing a lot of that. Captain Nice coming in 3rd place. Again, Glen Station, the artist, Shaper represent, because in the top 4, they're all class acts besides 1 artist, which is pretty good stuff. And I'm not surprised. Again, the class act deck is the most like down-to-earth similar criminal deck. We also saw a meta without currents, and I don't think anything is too crazy about that, so I'm excited to see what changes Nisei does to currents in the future if they do decide to do that. CTC also squeaking it in. Cortez from San Francisco, absolutely great. 21 points means that they also get to make a choice of what they put in. I imagine there might be some Sunny support coming their way. Cortez does like that Sunny, if I'm not mistaken. Jackson Clare making top 5 would have not guessed in such a long time that Jackson Clare would be up there in the top 8, let alone tied for 4th. After that, we saw Chrome with the human first, proving us all wrong with a top placing Anarch. Otherwise, we see also architect deployment tests. You see advanced concept hoppers also making it to the top 8. You see a lot of really cool stuff. But I think you see a lot of Glen Station, Class Act, Rebranding Team, all that stuff is doing really well, which is no surprise. And you got 2 Anarchs in there, more equal shapers to Anarchs, which is pretty cool. But overall, relatively diverse. I think Class Act is definitely the most consistent or the most common thing we have, but that's obviously something that can be addressed in the near future. Give Apex a connection hashtag, says a Narco Mushroom says. Thanos says no high risk. Yeah, I don't think we have any high risk in the whole tournament, did we? Yeah, high risk can be really good. Like high risk sea source
Yeah,
is
I was
scary.
a little bit sad not to see them. Yeah, they were. That's a fascinating ID.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, so reach out to the people in the top 5 to pester them to take away their choice and make it your own choice. But otherwise, it's their call.
Yeah, super cool. Well, hey, Sanjay, thanks so much for running this tournament. It's been an absolute blast. We've been streaming out here for like almost 7 hours now. Running a great tournament. A lot of people too. It's a lot of work to run a tournament, and that seemed to go without a hitch. So that's absolutely fantastic. I know you're getting responses from people about like how their what's it called, their experience with this tournament has been. Are you looking to publish that, or maybe I can just bother you about that later, because I'd love to be able to talk about that on this channel.
Oh, yeah, I can. Why don't I share the data with you? I think the individual responses, maybe I don't want those totally out because I didn't tell people would, but
that's cool.
Yeah, I'd be happy to tell you, to have you look through it. I think that'd be cool. If I haven't said this already, thank you so much. I think I was really excited about this tournament, and and you did a great job. I don't know if I don't think I've paid this compliment to you enough. You are amazing, Gary.
It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And so thank you so much for letting more people see what we were up to.
Always super excited to do that.
Yeah. Cool.
Sweet.
And yeah, I'll share some of the data with you. And we can talk about this later. But yeah, maybe we can go over some of the like win percentages and stuff, because that's a little tricky on Cobra to figure out. I'll figure it out.
Awesome. In chat, we have a couple of things. Firstly, Manverse saying, and I totally agree with it, big shout out to the JNet team for supporting the replace ID command.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously huge. Definitely need to plug that. We did a lot in the early, and then I forgot about that. Yeah, that's so cool that they've supported this tournament with that. That sort of that really helps reviewability, let alone functionality.
Oh,
that's great.
Yeah, it was so cool seeing them in the ID spot. Credit, especially to Noah, who needs a million credits for all the work he does, and Lost Geek, I think did a lot of the programming, and also did okay at this tournament too.
Yes. Also, this is going to not totally, but this is going to fuck up with the standings on R&D interface, which is hilarious. Like, you saw people registering as like, what's his name? Like Nero and stuff, because it doesn't matter what IDs you pick at the beginning, which is hilarious.
Oh, well, does that measure Jinteki stuff?
No, you're right. It measures always be running stuff. So yeah, okay, no, never mind. That's totally not true.
I don't know what always be running is going to do with this data. It's probably going to ignore it.
It collects data for like draft and stuff, so it might just kind of lump it in there with their like, we don't know what this is thing.
Yeah.
Also in chat, you have from Aruzan, as one of 2 rebranding teams, you have my vote to remove it from the game. Yeah, I think that's 2 of 2 at this point.
All right, so that's pretty. I'm feeling pretty comfortable that those of you who wanted to party with Rebranding Team got your chance, and if you missed your chance to play Rebranding Team, I'm sorry. Yeah. You can still score it with a big enough scoring window to score 4-2, and then the world's your oyster.
Awesome. Thanks to everyone watching, everyone hanging out, chat. It's an absolutely great time. I'm so glad that there's a place we can all hang out together. I'm going to get the video up on YouTube in a bit, so if you want to watch the VOD or recommend the VOD to anybody, we'll get that up as part 2. Hopefully part 1 will be unflagged in a bit, and we'll get that up as well. I think that's all for me. I need to go get some dinner. I'm really hungry. Sanjay, thanks again for letting us stream this and running this tournament. Thanks everyone for participating, and take care, my dude.
All right, bye.
Ciao, ciao.